Coming up, Ty from Comeuppance will be on for his monthly guest spot, and we'll be talking about Assassin, the last Bruce Willis film, and also The System, starring Tyrese, Jeremy Piven, and Terrence Howard. And the next week, we start the month of March with Tom Jolliffe, screenwriter of movies like When Darkness Falls, Baby in the Basket, and Cinderella's Revenge. He'll be on. We'll be talking about the Dolph Lundgren film Army of One, a.k.a. The Joshua Tree. So that was a really fun conversation, really kind of getting some 90s Dolph action there. And then the week after that, Sean Malloy from I Must Break This podcast will be on. We'll be talking about the Jean-Claude Van Damme film Replicant. So that was a really, really fun conversation there, too. And then Rich Haas from DTV Digest, he's on to talk two Gary Daniels PM classics. We'll be looking at Rage and Recoil. Also, at the beginning of that conversation, we have a really good talk about kind of the state of DTV action and physical media and that kind of thing. So really great conversation there as well. And then we finish out the month with Ty coming back on. We'll be looking at Black Ops, which has Tito Ortiz and Chris Cyborg, and then Hollow Point, a film with Luke Goss and Jay Moore. So that should be a fun conversation there. And then in terms of the DTVC Extra, so probably planning for Thursday to have the next one of those up. You're just kind of looking at it. It didn't seem to matter either way in terms of the podcast numbers, whether I did one on that Thursday or not. So that'll be the plan, is kind of every other Thursday I'm going to try to do a DTVC Extra. So this one coming up here will be the second part of our Marvel Phase 2 look. We'll be looking at Captain America and the Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy. Also, kind of brief conversations about Amazing Spider-Man 2, which came out that same year as those, 2014, and X-Men Days of Future Past. So that'll be good. Kind of, I'm hoping for Thursday to be able to record those and get those out there. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll finish up the MCU Phase 2 with Avengers Age of Ultron and then Ant-Man. And then I think the other movie that came out that year was Fantastic Four, that reboot. I still haven't seen that yet, so it'll be interesting to watch that one and kind of see. I may also watch the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. I've never seen that one before. It's on YouTube, so I should probably finally watch that, and I can kind of add that to the conversation there. And then, after that, we'll take a break from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we'll be looking at some Pam Grier films for kind of the next round of the DTVC Extra. So we'll see how that goes. It is interesting. I think I think the last time we were talking, I was saying how I was kind of getting a little bit of a Marvel fatigue. And then I was watching Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy and suddenly had a little less fatigue. So it is interesting kind of how that kind of thing comes and goes. But I was looking at it that if I was going to do like Marvel MCU Phase 3, with the way I've been doing this, where I've been kind of catching up on other comic book films that I hadn't seen yet at the same time that I'm doing, the movies for that phase there, it would be a lot of movies. It'd be like 18 movies I'd have to do. And so it also, I guess, breaking it down, right, there's 11 movies, so it would probably be at least like 5 episodes if I'm doing 2 per. So it would be a lot bigger. I think the Pam Grier thing is a good break, and I was trying to think of some other ones to do beyond Pam Grier. So we'll kind of see. Of course, I'm always happy for people to reach out if you've got ideas on things that I should cover, approaches that I should do for that kind of thing. But and again, we'll kind of see how long it lasts that I can do these solo episodes every other Thursday. But I've been enjoying them, and I think they're still getting some kind of resonance. So we'll kind of keep that going. Now, one thing I wanted to quick say about the last episode that I did with Will from Exploding Helicopter, where we looked at a film called The Big Ugly. There's some things that came up in terms of like the Confederate flag and stuff like that in there, and I kind of stumbled over my words a little bit. I was trying to say there's a scene in the movie in The Big Ugly where Ron Perlman's character, he's talking to an African American police officer, and there's a pickup truck behind him with a bunch of good old boy kind of racists, and they're flying a big Confederate flag, and he takes the flag away from them and says, "I don't like people flying that flag around me because it's a loser flag, and I don't like losers around me," right? As opposed to being like, "You're a bunch of racists, get out of here," kind of thing. And I was trying to say that, I kind of bungled over my words, because I was trying to say at first, like, the South didn't lose the war, they lost the war, but they won the peace, I think was the expression I wanted to use, which wasn't really correct either. And so I think I kind of bungled and said, well, they didn't exactly lose the war, which they did definitely lose the war, that's for sure. And I think I did correct myself there. But I think I didn't quite correct myself to say what I wanted to say. I think part of the thing is there's a really great podcast out, Behind the Bastards, where Robert Evans recently was looking at, the host of the show was looking at Robert E. Lee. And he does a really good job breaking that part down. And one of the things that he broke down that I was trying to enunciate, I think, there was kind of the way the North dealt with the South after the war. They kind of allowed the South to sort of, I don't want to say rise again. That's an expression, right? The South will rise again. But they allowed the South to sort of, I don't know if say linger is the right term either, but they kind of were able to sort of regrow sort of, that the same sort of abhorrent traditions, and especially in terms of subjugation of the African American population. They were allowed to kind of do it in different ways, right? So of course they weren't able to own slaves anymore, but they could, say, arrest a bunch of African American males and force them to work, as prisoners, right, doing forced labor. And the North kind of allowed that stuff to happen, partly because there's a depression shortly after the war, and they kind of took a lot of the government officers that they had down there trying to sort of build the Reconstruction. They kind of moved them out. So that was one big piece of it. I think there was another piece of it where, to be honest, I don't know how much they really. There's a sense that they didn't want to punish the South after the war, and I think there was also a sense of I don't know how much they wanted to get involved and stop the South from doing some of those horrible things. And as a result, we get a lot of the really, really bad policies, the Jim Crow South that you think about when you see historical videos from the past in the South, and also even today, it's really bad. And it's not that the North is much better, but I think that's what I was trying to say there. It was just a very kind of jumbled up, complicated thing. But really what I wanted to say about that was that the idea that you shouldn't be having the Confederate flag because it's a loser flag as opposed to a representation of racism was an equivocation on that character's part. And that was kind of where I wanted to go there with that. But when I heard myself say it, that the South didn't really lose the war, I was like, oh, that's not what I meant. That's not what I wanted to say. Probably a sign that I probably should be listening to these more and editing them better. But one of those things where I just record them. And then, the only times I really edit the podcasts are when, sometimes if I'm in a conversation during the podcast and I hear something, I'm like, okay, I think that's not really going to go well, right? Like if it's me saying it or the other person saying it, I'm like, I don't know if that's going to resonate well. I might edit it out, if I think it might cause an issue. Or usually the more common thing is like when there's me or the other person has like a coughing fit, or somebody says I need to take a break, I need to step away, and they might say it like in the podcast as opposed to maybe like messaging on Skype if we're using Skype. I'll edit those pieces out, and I'll know like, okay, I've got to edit those pieces out. For the most part, I don't edit much from the podcast episodes, and it probably is something where I at least listen through and be like, yeah, I don't know if that's going to land like I think it's going to. At the time, I think I didn't remember myself even saying that part of it. And so, yeah, so it's probably good for me to edit, or at least kind of put in a disclaimer like, I'm not saying the South didn't lose the Civil War, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, and here's the point there. But anyway, yeah, it was just one of those things that kind of caught my ear, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't like how that sounded there. But anyway, but that's hopefully that kind of. It's not like I'm getting like a rash of angry emails. That hasn't happened yet. I think the only time I ever got an angry email about anything that I've done was I reviewed the Boss Level, the Frank Grillo movie, and had Mel Gibson in it. And I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do with Mel Gibson at that time, and I still don't necessarily know what to do with Mel Gibson. But what I did is I drew like a yellow smiley face and stuck it on where his face was, because I couldn't find a cover that didn't have him on it. And somebody got really angry and sent an email like, "Oh, you snowflake! You don't like saw what you did with Mel Gibson's face," and stuff like that. And I just blocked him. I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to get into it with somebody like that. But it is kind of funny how like I'm the snowflake when that person's angry about it, they're complaining about it. But I think that's what I might do going forward when I review any other Mel Gibson movies. Is I might do like a version of a smiley face on his cover of it. So yeah, if you go look at the Boss Level one, you can see that I did that there. So anyway, I'm still trying to figure out what to do with Mel Gibson. I think when Ty and I were on and we talked about Hot Seat, it kind of added to that conversation of like, what do we do with this guy? Like what, yeah, it's going to be one of those things we probably still have to kind of figure out. Same with someone like a Steven Seagal. So anyway, yeah, we'll kind of move on from that and kind of get into the blog here a little bit. And yeah, we finished up February with Murder City, which I got to say that review has been blowing up. That one's getting a ton of post views. So I think part of it is that it's pretty prominent on Tubi. Like if you go on the Tubi, for the most part, especially if you're someone like me who likes action stuff, it's going to be recommended to you. And so with it being recommended, people are seeing it and they're probably wondering, like, well, what is this movie about? And I think it only has like a couple critic reviews on IMDb. I think I'm one of only like a few on there, which that's usually a sign, right? One that like, usually people, they go to IMDb. I don't know how many people do this, but I think a good amount of people go to IMDb, looking for information on a movie. And so, I'm one of 4 reviews on there. And I don't even know how those other reviews are, because sometimes you'll see certain ones that are just on every, they review every movie. And so I wonder if there's like an AI aspect to it or something. Whereas obviously, if you click on mine, there's no AI aspect to it. So you're getting like a legitimate review and probably looking at it. And so, but yeah, this one has definitely been blowing up. I think Murder City, it's not quite blowing up to the same extent that Outlaw Johnny Black did when I reviewed that one at the end of last year, but it's definitely blowing up there. So yeah, thank you everybody for checking that one out. So we'll see. We'll kind of see if we keep going on that. But this weekend we're going to start with Fit to Kill. So we're going to get back to Andy Sidaris. But been watching that one. That one's on Tubi as well. All the Sidaris flicks are on Tubi, and so that's a really interesting one because, and I don't want to step on the review too much, but looking at like kind of the Marvel movies with sort of like, or the DC, like the universe kind of things where you're adding these different characters together. Just seeing like Julie Strain introduced into the Sidaris verse, right? Is that what you call the Lethal Lady series? But seeing her introduced in there is like such a really cool thing. It's probably more akin to when Jason Statham was added to the Fast and Furious series, right? That's probably a better comp there. But it's still, I still kind of got that same kind of awesome feeling, seeing her there. Sort of showing up and doing her assassin kind of stuff and whatnot. So, always love Julie Strain. Of course, Donna Spear is another one of my favorites as well. So it'll be cool to review that one. Also this month, we'll be looking at Codename Vengeance with Robert Ginty and Shannon Tweed. Phoenix, I'm going to finally do that, the movie Phoenix, another Tubi original that was directed by Daniel Zerilli that has Ava Marie Saint, who's a wrestler. And so it's kind of her first role, and it was one that Ty and I covered on the podcast a little while back. So if you want to check out our conversation, it was a movie that really kind of resonated with us in kind of a more goofy way. It was definitely a rush job kind of movie, very low budget. And Ava Marie Saint, I think she's starting getting the hang of being an actress. You kind of think back to like Don the Dragon Wilson when he first started out. It's kind of a similar kind of the delivery and all of that stuff. So really, really interesting one. So it'll be fun to cover that one this month. And then City Cops, Cynthia Rothrock film, looking to do that one this month. And then also Left for Dead. It's an Albert Pyun film. So looking to kind of get, it's one it's been kind of lingering for a while, and it's on Vudu. So, which I guess Vudu is going to be called Fandango. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be changing its name soon at some point, but it's free with ads on there, so I'll be able to watch it there. But it's one I've been meaning to do. There's only a few Albert Pyun films that we haven't covered that are available in some respect. Like Left 4 Dead is one. Cool Air is another one that I think is available to rent. And then there's a movie. It's like the interrogation of, I don't know what the Cheryl Cooper is, something I can't remember the name, but it's like it's a movie that he did with Shane Ryan Reed, and that one I don't know how you get that one. I think it's like only available through his site, which I don't even know how that works anymore. But anyway, we don't have a lot of Pyun left, so we're probably not going to quite get him to the 50 club. But I mean, obviously, as a director with over 40 director credits, he's like well above. I think Fred Olen Ray might be second with 15 director credits, so it gives you a sense like that Pyun is definitely up there. Same with Cynthia Rothrock in terms of women on the site. She's got like 42. This would be like 43, I think, for her. I think the next highest might be, I don't know who the next highest might be, like Kathleen Kidmont or somebody. There's not many that, Kathleen Kidmont, I think, with like 7 or 8 credits or tags on the site. So yeah, so you got kind of these sort of the outliers that just have like really, really big numbers there. But it'd be cool to get more Cynthia Rothrock and more Albert Pyun on the site. Another update, of course, is just sort of my going through and sort of fixing up the site and fixing up some of the issues that we've had there. I decided to do a couple things. One, I decided to go from newest to oldest instead of what I was doing before, where I was going oldest to newest. And part of the reason for that was that the newer ones are a little bit more solid in terms of the images that are available. It's rare that I have to go into Tubi or something like that to find new images for them. And usually, like, I've got a good group of images that I can pull from, and it's just a matter of just getting rid of the photo bucket and putting them in. But then I also realized, instead of even bothering with photo bucket right now, the more pressing concern is the Map Movie Guy links, because you can click on the photo bucket links and you'll get taken to the image page where you can see all the images and everything. So there's no harm in the photo bucket link images. They just don't look good, right, with the watermarks and everything. the Matt Movie Guy links do cause harm, or they have the potential to cause harm depending on what, if there's a virus or anything attached to them. So what I've been doing is just sort of getting rid of those first. Just going through and just removing those, and then worrying about I'll worry about the images. I'll worry about cleaning up the posts in terms of things like editing, stuff like that. All that stuff, I'll worry about that later. So that's kind of the goal now. I think I'm through 2012, going from newest to oldest. So, but 2011, 2010, 2009, there's a lot of posts. There's like maybe like 400 or 500 that I've got to get through. So we'll see. It looks like I can do like maybe like 15 to 20 in a half hour. So it's not like it's taking me as long as it is when, it's like going through and sort of removing all the images, uploading new images, rereading the post. All that stuff takes a lot more time. These I can do a little bit faster. So I'm hoping within the next couple of months to have all the Matt Movie Guy links done so that you can really kind of go through the site and not worry about what you're clicking on. So that's a big goal of mine. In addition to that, one other thing I've been trying to do is kind of go through some of the archive posts, and depending on what is happening that day. So like, yesterday on February 26th, it was Mark Dacascos' 60th birthday. So I pulled the old Drive review from the archives, cleaned that up, new images, got rid of the bad links, cleaned that all up, and then posted it as like, from the archives, for Mark Dacascos on his birthday. Did something similar with Kim Coates, right, with Lethal Tender. Other ones I'm doing are sort of like on this day in this year I posted whatever. So like Guardian Angel was one like that. So those are ones where I'm kind of cleaning up the entire post. And I think that's kind of a cool thing to just kind of have some of those. And those seem to be getting a lot of engagement. I've been doing them like on Twitter/X, I'll just kind of put the post, say, from the archives and do the post. But on Facebook, I'm kind of adding a little bit more information, maybe some insight on how the post went. Anything that anything that I think is interesting about when I wrote that post, or things that maybe historically are different. Like, for example, the Guardian Angel post. At that time, that was like the 5th Cynthia Rothrock post, and now she's got like over 40. I hadn't tagged PM yet. I hadn't tagged Art Camacho yet. Now they have like, Art Camacho has over 50 tags, and PM's got over 40 as well. So kind of cool to kind of see some of those perspectives as well. So I'm going to try to keep doing that as much as I can, maybe try to do at least one archive post a day, but we'll see. We'll kind of see how that goes. Again, it's all about the time. It's all about the amount of time that I have available for those kinds of things. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. So anyway, I think we probably kind of get into the episode now. But yeah, before we do, of course, the novels, Don's House in the Mountains, available on Kindle and paperback. Get the link for that in the podcast description here. Also, Bainbridge. Bainbridge is my short action novel. Get it for a low price at Amazon and Kindle. So Kindle, I think it's like $2.99. So definitely pick that up. It's what is kind of cool about that is that. It's one, it's really short, but I think it also has a lot of overlap kind of with the audience here. And then finally, the Threadless. Definitely go check out the Threadless and pick out, the link to the Threadless will also be here in the podcast description. But yeah, if you're looking for some shirts, that's probably the best thing, the t-shirts. I mean, I know some of our listeners. I know, for example, Scott Murphy lives in New Zealand, so for him, it's getting into fall for him. But for most of the listeners, right, we're in the Northern Hemisphere. You're getting into the spring, getting into the summer. You need more T-shirts. Why not get a good DTV connoisseur one? And I mean, again, John Cross from After Movie Diner, he designed some really cool VHS cover designs. He also put together some kind of variations on the direct-to-video connoisseur logo that are really cool. So, one that I call the Vaporwave one. There's one I think I call like a VHS version. So there's some really cool variations on the logo too, if you're interested in that. And of course, just the standard DTV connoisseur logo. And if you're not into shirts, we've got mugs. I know I've got a couple mugs. I've got one that is the standard DTV connoisseur mug, and then one that is like a Vaporwave. I call it the Vaporwave one. That's based off of one of John's versions of the logo. Those are really great. And there's tote bags. There's all kinds of stuff that you can get on the Threadless site there. So some of it's a little on the expensive side. That's why I think T-shirts are probably your best bet. But yeah, I guess it's a little more expensive than buying one of my novels. One of my novels is like, $13, I think, $12.99. Whereas the shirts can get upwards of $20 to $30, depending on the quality of the fabric. Sometimes we do sales though, and I'm trying to keep an eye on those sales so I can publish those out for you as well. But yeah, always happy if people. Again, if you buy anything on the site, let me know. Especially if you buy a shirt or something, get a picture of it. I'm happy to post it. But yeah, that's I always appreciate any kind of support like that for sure. Well, yeah, I've rambled on quite a bit here. This opening has gone on almost 20 minutes. So why don't we get into our theme song here, and then after that, Ty from Comeuppance will be on, and we will be talking about Assassin. All right, we are back, and I am joined once again here by Ty from Comeuppance. Welcome back, Ty.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to do this episode.
Yeah, we've got. I know. We after Malky on the Skids, we've got two from Hulu this time. We've got Bruce Willis's final film, Assassin, and then we've got a real interesting one, The System, with Tyrese and Jeremy Piven and Terrence Howard. It's going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely, I can't wait to talk about these two.
Exactly.
Especially The System.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we also have a new segment that we're going to roll out here called Spotlight on a Fight. So after we're done talking about The System, we'll talk about an infamous fight from, direct-to-video action movies past, and kind of break it down a little bit.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I guess as we get started here, Ty, what have you been watching lately?
Well, I started watching, I feel like I'm a teenage girl from the 2010s, but Hellcats.
Yeah.
It's on Tubi. It has Ali Michalka. Remember Ali and AJ to the Disney Channel?
I don't know if I remember that show.
And Ashley Tisdale was on the CW. And I have to say, it's surprisingly good. It's not stupid. It's obviously some, oh no, you're a cheerleader. No, you're not. Or something like that. But that's really been tamped down because there's other stuff going on that you care about. Characters are pretty good. It's well written for the most part. I was very surprised. I was prepared for it to be stupid. Like, okay, I'm more surprised that it's even better. So I'm on episode 14 out of 22. I got canceled after one season.
Oh, okay.
And what am I watching? I watched Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Mitchell's versus the Machines. I don't know if I've heard of. Now, Hellcats, I kind of remember. Those CW dramas, they tend to be a little bit better than people think.
That's true. I think they've fallen off lately, but this is the 2010, so you got your Hellcats, you got your Arrow, and my personal favorite, 2013's Cult, starring Bob Nepper. You remember that one? I'm obsessed with that show.
I don't remember that one. I did watch Arrow. I think I watched the first 3 seasons of Arrow and the first season of Flash. And then I think what happened was because those series were connected, and I was like, okay, I got to do like one episode of each at a time. And then it was like, oh, we're gonna roll in Superwoman and all those kinds of things, or Supergirl. Right. I think I lost it. I think the other thing too is I got to the end of Arrow, like the season where they decided to make John Barrowman's character like the head of like the Ra's al Ghul group.
Well, what's funny about Arrow is that there's two things. First off, Neil McDonough, he's hanging around in it, and he plays Damien Dark, which drove me crazy, that name, because it's like just like the Marvel Entertainment presents the Marvels. Like, okay, you're getting too close here,
right?
And also, Dolph Lundgren is on Arrow season 5 or 6.
Right? Yes. Constantine something.
Yeah, I'm trying to find Arrow. I can't find it right now.
Yeah. Well, but also Michael Jai White was in the early seasons.
Yes,
of Arrow.
And Vinnie Jones, I think.
Yeah. So it was a really cool show. The thing about Arrow is growing up, I remember like if my mom was like going to wherever, like the gas station or wherever, and I asked for a comic book, right? If I was like, oh, I want Green Lantern, right? You should come back with Green Arrow. And it was like, wow, this is Green Arrow. I don't want Green Arrow. And it was almost like, well, mom would be like, well, what's the difference, right? It's like, There's a big difference. Green Arrow's like, he's.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I totally see that thing online. It says, let's go back to Righteous Kill for a second. It's like, can I watch Righteous Kill at home? Or can I watch He at Home? And then He at Home, Righteous Kill. You ever see that kind of meme?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
This is what you have. It's like, I want Green Lantern. We have Green Lantern. You have Green Arrow. We have Green Lantern at home.
Exactly.
Green Arrow. I would do that bit on verbal, but it's like,
yeah, I could see that happening. Yeah, and so it was like the idea that they could take Green Arrow and turn it into this like huge phenomenon that they have like a whole universe of DC characters around it, and it's actually a compelling show. The fact that it was actually a good show too, I was like, I don't know how
for a while. I agree.
Yeah.
And he was killing people, which I supported. Then he kind of became lame-o, but it's like, but the Hellcats, which I recommend watching. I don't know. There's something about it. I'm trying to kind of blaze through it because this is my first kind of big show on Tubi, and I don't want it to go away.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to watch it really fast. There's like this song that's very catchy. It's like the theme song, the Hellcats. Mm-hmm. It's like you just pretend they're like cheerleaders singing. It's like move to the left, move to the right. And it's like whoa, whoa. If you hear it, you'll know it. You'll hear it. It's very catchy.
Yeah.
We'll dance all night. Whoa. It's like take a look. You'll laugh if you listen to that. And we'll sing another song very soon towards the end of the episode.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And what if Mental Service Machines? I mentioned this to you on Instagram.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it's from the makers of Into the Spider-Verse. So it's animated family comedy. It's very odd. The Mitchells are like this a terrible goofball family, and then Katie is a teenager, wants to go to film school, but the dad and mom don't really want her to go, so then they go on this big road trip instead to go to college instead. And then there's these robots. It's basically about robot, like apocalypse.
Right.
It's done pretty well. It's 2 hours.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's brutal for an animated kids movie.
Yeah, how do they have the attention span for that? It's like
I don't think they do. I don't.
No.
There's no way.
Is it one of those things where like 2 hours is like when you have the tablet on the back of the seat that the kid in the car seat is watching? 2 hours is like it's like like that's a good chunk of time that like as a parent you don't have to reach behind it and almost get into an accident like like changing that's why 2 hours is a good number, baby.
I always wondered about those TVs in the back seat. Sometimes you used to see those, maybe not anymore. But remember, you look through someone's van, there's like a TV.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, isn't that distracting? I'd be so distracted. Like I'm trying to watch my TV, or I have to drive.
Right. Well, because now what it is there's like this strap thing that you can strap you can strap your tablet behind your seat so the kid can watch the show on the tablet. And so but then what happens is like when the show's over or like the kid doesn't want to watch it anymore or whatever, the parent has to reach behind and do all of that while they're driving. It's amazing, like between all the kind of different distracted driver things. I know, like for me when I'm walking, like you can see it, like it's like one of those things like where like if you get there's like a chance to like jaywalk, right? And it's like you see that the other direction has the light, but like that person is texting because they haven't gone yet. And so it's like, do I jaywalk and scoot across here when I know the person behind that person is getting ready to beep their horn? And what happens whenever that person behind them beeps the horn, the person who's texting immediately jumps up and speeds across the, like they like peel out because they're like, they there's like almost like this thing inside them where they can't believe that they were making other people wait or something. And it's like, that chance of possibly getting hit. But it's like kind of the same thing. Like the parent is like, in a red light thinking like, okay, I can change the movie at this time on the red light. It's like, no, you don't have enough time with a red light. Red light's like 30 seconds. I know as somebody who walks a lot, like, there isn't a lot of time to do anything during a red light, but everybody thinks like they've got this, like these hours to like text and change, but I think the other thing too is on the highway. People think like if they're on the highway, they feel like they can multitask while they're driving on the highway. And it's like, no, there's other cars and there's turning and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. So,
I mean, like, but to go back to, the thing about when you're walking, Isn't there stories online you can find out where like some like woman was texting? And this is like old cell phone technology where she fell into like a manhole, and then there's also one where a woman was texting and fell into a fountain at the mall.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, the worst for me, I think I may have told you this story. I thought it would be smart. I wanted to order Taco Bell, and
can't
I
go
thought
wrong.
right, and I thought I could order it while I was walking. So because you can order on the app and then it's ready. So
Right.
I was ordering it while I was walking. When you do that, you're not paying attention, right? And it kind of gives you a sense of what it's like. For example, like if you're driving, because it's like walking, it's like I could go a block without paying attention. But in a car, it's so much, you're going so much faster, so you could cover much more territory. So I could see how texting and driving is a really bad thing. But I was ordering my food, and this kid like interrupts me. He's like, "Hey, do you mind doing something, talking to us for this video we're making?" And because I was distracted, I thought he was like
Oh,
some
that's right. You're telling me is that the political guy?
exactly. I thought it was like somebody from like one of the local universities, because there's like, 4 or 5 universities here in Philadelphia. And so I thought it was just one of the kids from these universities. I was like, "Oh, I'll help him out." And discovered that he's like this conservative, guy, one of those like conservative guys who's like, "What do you think about the fact that Democrats don't like Biden or something?" And I'm like,
Like,
"Oh no, how did I let this happen?" I was distracted. That's how I let it happen. I wasn't paying attention.
that's how they get people to do these videos.
Yes.
You're distracted and like, what?
I would have
Watch
seen that guy
this.
a block away. I would have seen him in his part, and I would have been like, "Okay, get away from that guy. Don't go anywhere near him." But when you're not paying attention, so fortunately, I've never lost my phone. But it's like, yeah, there's this sense of like, well, I can text and walk at the same time. And it's like, no, you really should just, I don't say pull over because you're walking, but you
Yeah,
should just like go to
I
the side of the.
stop and text. I can't text and walk at the same time either. It's
No,
not possible for me. It's
yeah,
I
yeah,
hold 1 second, I'll do it, and then like
yeah.
I
Well, in Philly, I mean, it could be a lot worse. Like I was fortunate that I just was like for like like less than a minute a part of somebody's viral video attempt,
did you ever,
because you could get mugged, you could have all kinds of things happen to you if you're not paying attention on the street. So
yeah.
it's I was maybe let off easy there. And of course, yeah, like you said, like you could bump into somebody and your phone ends up, in a grate or something. And I
That's
look at
my
that.
fear. Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
I can't have my phone in a grid because I don't have to go to Verizon. So
right, right.
but
Yeah.
did you ever see the video? Did you ever tell you when it was coming out? Is there
No, I have no idea. I don't even know who they represented, because I was just like, I'll see you guys later. Once I realized what it was, I was like, all right, I got to go. And of course, I'd also put in my Taco Bell order. So, or no,
Oh
maybe
yeah,
I
yeah.
hadn't
Taco
yet.
Bell's way more important. Go ahead.
Oh no, maybe I hadn't put in my Taco Bell order yet. So I needed, but I at least wanted to get it.
Because I was wondering, like, then you'll see yourself. I don't know if you're blurred or not, but it'd be kind of funny. Uh,
Well, because I didn't sign a release, but I said I would do it. So they have me on camera. If that's what if they were even filming me at that point, I mean, they would have me on camera saying I was okay to like answer their questions for the video.
All
So
the
I
questions
guess
are pretty basic too. I mean, we all know Biden's not. I saw the thing on the news.
yeah,
There's that guy, like Robert Herr. It's like, are you the guy who made the chips, the ketchup
right.
chips? Like, no, it's like Biden's old and feeble. It's like, I kind of knew that already. It's like,
Right. Well,
and
because
Trump is Trump. But they made that. This made that job. I asked Matt the questions. Okay.
right, exactly. That would
The
be great
first
if it was
question
Trump.
is, are you gonna vote for me?
Right. Well, yeah, because this was in the fall, so this would have been when everything was happening in Israel,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
on the left were upset about how Biden was handling Israel's, kind of retaliation into Gaza, and so I think that was a big part of why his numbers were faltering against
Mm.
Democrats. I think that's what it was. But also too, it was like who knows even where they get these polls from? And then it was like, well, CNN is saying it. I was like, what do I care what CNN says? I was like, it was like once you start hearing like a few of those things, you're like, I got to get out of here. Like I
Well,
don't know
that's the
how.
thing. Once you hear that, because
Yeah,
CNN, whatever political side you're on,
yeah,
they're not doing so hot, and also they kind of still resting on the laurels of the '90s of their other wars, Desert
right.
Storm, stuff like that. What was that? Live from Baghdad. There was that movie with Michael Keaton. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No, I haven't. But that's like
Basically,
about
it's CNN
CNN.
the movie. Here's the
Yeah,
thing: when I worked at the video store, Best Video, the owner he bought 7 copies of Live from Baghdad. That's too many. Usually we have about 3 or 4, 7. We were like, you're kidding, right? This is an HBO movie, TV no one cares about. called Live. You're not. It was a huge flop at the video store because it's like you can't do 7 copies of Live back then. You get like one copy of Young Adam. Remember that movie as Ewan McGregor? Mm-hmm. And I think we told you this about where Young Adam's in The Wise. He was so obsessed with Young Adam making some sort of money, he wanted us to do Z to A instead. So so Young Adam, some drama, it would be first. But what about the A's? It's like.
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say he could have gotten away with putting it in the A's because it's Young Adam, but I guess if you were specifically looking for Young Adam and you're like in the Y's and you don't see it, like you'd be kind of annoyed that you have to go to the A's and find it.
Bend down to get the one copy of Young Adam that we had, but the 400 copies of Live in Baghdad. Very
right. Well, because that was the thing, right? With CNN was that in the 90s, so it's like this thing where it's like CNN kind of builds up with like OJ, and then like you said, like Clinton, and then 9/11, and then the Iraq wars, and it become like this big staple. And it's like it's so far from that now that it's like only like conservative people like bringing it up to like people they think are liberals. CNN said this. It's like most people are like, I don't care about CNN anymore. It's like right, like
it's over. I mean, it's
exactly
over. Right. Well, that's me. Back in the 90s, all we had, as I always say, we had CNN, and then you flip on the news, you watch. This is not the right person. I'm saying anyway. You have your Walter Cronkite, or maybe your Peter Jennings.
Peter Jennings, right? He was a big enough deal. To the time. Yeah, Peter Jennings, and then I'm trying to think because remember it was Katie Couric took over on CBS and nobody liked her. Remember that? It was like a big scandal.
That. Right. Of course, hours. He has a certain kind of button which I won't say.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
But
like all that stuff mattered then, and it's like because in the 90s you kind of like you had CNBC before they had MSNBC, but it had like the shows that MSNBC has now, and then Fox was like just starting, but Fox wasn't like overtly conservative; they were just kind of conservative, or they were conservative, but they still had like a lot of liberal people on too, and so it wasn't like it's like this kind of this overt thing that it became in like the early 2000s. So it was a weird time for all of that stuff in the 90s.
True. And then like Bill O'Reilly, he was on Fox, and he yelled to people to cut people's mic. Right. I think it's kind of funny, I love to see that. You sometimes they show the control rooms.
Yeah.
And it's like, what how do you cut the mic? That's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's like well, cause I had read about that like if you were on O'Reilly, that it was a lot harder to be the via satellite versus the one in the studio.
Oh, interesting. I always hear there's always that delay.
Yeah. Well, and what they would do a lot of times is they would have the one that was the conservative one in studio, and then the one, and I remember SNL made fun of it, and Fred Armisen was the liberal guy. He had like the corduroy jacket and like the long hair. And so yeah, the one Fox one I remember the best with that, with kind of like the via satellite thing, was they did one on Michael Vick, right? Because remember the whole the dog fighting thing and all that, and this writer from Florida, from Miami, Dan Le Batard, he has like a pretty popular sports podcast now, but they had him on to talk about it, and everybody on the panel was white, and so he's like watching and he's like seeing who all the people are, and he just starts interrupting them like while they're talking, and he's like, oh my God, you're doing a thing on Michael Vick and everybody here is white? Like you don't have one African American person? And they were like, and I think it was one of those cut the mic kind of things, right? They couldn't even air it. It was like, it's like, but he kept like, he's like, why do you have me on here? Like, why am I here? I'm, it's like
I like when people kind of get nuts on those panels because it's probably like weird to be in a square. Only the Brady Bunch should be in squares.
Right. The Brady Bunch and Street Fighter. Right.
Street Fighter, that's true.
Picking your fighter in Street Fighter.
What was that? That's was that the Ken music?
Yes. Yeah. The Boys was the best. Yeah, the Boys. Yeah, Ken.
Yeah.
E Honda.
I love E Honda. I mean, like, I always used Vega or Chun-Li usually because usually have pretty strong moves.
Yeah. Well, and Chun-Li in the Street Fighter 2 pre-champion editions, so just the one that was just Street Fighter 2, there was a cheat that you could do with her where I think it was the X button. And if you just walked forward and hit the X button, the person couldn't stop it because you would either block it and she would throw them, or she would punch them. And then if they tried to jump, she could jump and throw them too. So it was like, and I remember doing it because I saw somebody doing it against me. So I remember I started doing it, and a friend of mine was like, Poirier, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna do some research and find out if the other versions of this let you do that. And if that's the case, I am never turning this game on while you're in the room, you know. And of course, he found out that like Champion Edition, they removed it for Champion Edition. They
of course,
you know come up with a word, because back then, right, you didn't have patches. Like now you have patches for games, right, where you download the game and you download the patch to fix something. But back then it was just they had to release a new version of it, you know. So, but yeah, I was Chun-Li. Like you couldn't beat Chun-Li in the Street Fighter if you knew the trick. I think again, I think it was the X button, and you just walked forward and hit the X button the whole time. Yeah.
Well, I know it's worth asking what you've been watching, because from Hellcats to Street Fighter.
Right, exactly.
How about for you?
So I think probably the most fun, interesting one that I watched recently was Deadly Impact, Italian production with Bo Svensson and Fred Williams. I did it for the blog.
Nice.
And yeah, one of the things is it had like 2 different McDonald's in it, which we know I'm big on the McDonald's tagging.
Gotta love it. Gotta love McDonald's.
Yeah, one of them they were using a payphone. The baddies were using a payphone at McDonald's, and you could see like the big Golden Arches sign, like off, like kind of off, like just on the edge of the frame. So it's like he's talking, and like the building kind of, you know, at the edge of the building. Then you see the big sign next to it, and this was '84, so it wasn't billions and billions sold at that time. It was like, you know, whatever it was at that, you know. But one of the things I was reminded of as a kid growing up, because you remember, you know, in the days of payphones, when you couldn't, you know, when not everybody had cell phones, I remember it would be one of those things where you'd see the McDonald's payphone, like, oh, let's stop there, I'll make the call from that one, and you know, you make the call from the payphone, and you start smelling the fries, right, and like the whole McDonald's thing, and it's like, man, I really need to get something to eat, you know, and
that's a great trick.
Yeah, like, and it was funny because the baddies in the movie went in after, like they essentially, that was the part in the movie, right, where they'd killed the guy who had the computer program, and
I say that.
Yeah, because remember the whole point of the movie was like this couple, like this computer programmer, he had
yeah, he's a nerd, right?
Right, and he came up with a program that allowed you to know when a slot machine was going to hit. So he'd send his girlfriend to all these casinos, and she would go to each one, and they were collecting all this money, and then these baddies wanted the money. And so they had killed him, and so they were trying to find her. So they're like on a payphone, calling her roommate to find out when she was going to be in. And then after they're done talking to her, you know, hangs up the phone and they go inside. You knew, right? They didn't mention it explicitly, but you knew that, you know, while they're doing that call, they're smelling the French fries, and they're like, man, we could really go for something to eat right now, you know. And it was part of their business model that they completely lost with the whole cell phone age, because, you know,
that's a good point. They should just bring back, well, at least have payphones. Now I don't care about. I don't care about payphones. What if you don't have a cell phone? So there are no payphones anywhere in America.
Yeah. No, like if you go to like for example, like the Trenton Transit Center has a bank of payphones, or like South Station in Boston, they have a bank of payphones. But like for example, where the McDonald's used to be in Philly here near Catherine Street, there's like an old like graffitied payphone that like doesn't have the actual phone on it anymore. I mean, it's not usable, right? Like you could like it's just like the phone's been ripped off, and it's like just the console is there with graffiti everywhere, and then you can kind of see like the remains of where the McDonald's that had been torn down was. So it's almost like, it's kind of a funny thing. It's like almost like yeah, they went out of business because they couldn't get any of that payphone business.
Hey, wasn't there that song? I don't know if it's by Trains, by like
Maroon 5. I'm at a payphone or something.
I'm at a payphone trying to call home.
Right. Yes. That one. I was funny. Like I never knew the lyrics to that one, but I would hear it like that summer it came out. Was it like 2012 or something like that, or
something like that?
Yeah. It was one of those ones that was like everywhere, though. It was like you just like, you know, like it was kind of at that age, because, you know, the 2010s, I think it was kind of the early age of where you had shop rock for like songs that were popular.
Yes, that's a good point. I remember hearing more popular songs. You got to be careful with these songs, because, you know, when you're younger, you're with your parents.
Right.
You know, I forget the song. I don't know who it's by, but it's like, there's a video. It's in the 90s. It's like, do it, touch me tonight. It's like, wait a second, I can't be hearing that with my parents.
Right.
Thing. Yeah. It's like, oh no.
Well, there was one I heard in the store recently that definitely had some rough lyrics. Yeah, and I can't think of which one it was. It was like one of those ones that was like the like one of those like modern rock like Hinder or one of those kinds of groups, and the lyrics were like definitely like I was like, yeah, this is a little bit much for while I'm picking up like sodas and whatever stuff you pick up at Rite Aid. It's like
a little bit too risque for Rite Aid, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that I'm at a payphone song. The other thing I remember too about 2012 was that I had a job and I was biking back and forth to the job. I'd ride my bike, and the bridge that connected the two towns where I lived in Kittery, Maine, and then Portsmouth, New Hampshire. They were working on the bridge, and so you had to get a shuttle that would take you on the highway because you can't obviously you can't ride a bike on the highway. You take a shuttle, and that shuttle, whoever was the shuttle driver, they would play like the pop station. I think it's WERZ in Portsmouth. And so that song, like that, it was like the I'm at a payphone one, and then the Cloud9 one by Katy Perry. It was like it was almost like they had to play. Yeah,
I'm wide awake. I should know.
Right. Yes, exactly. I'm like, it's like one of those things where you're just sitting there and you're like, oh God, what is going on here? Because it's like
that song made me annoyed because the Wide Awake song.
Yeah.
Because I forget some of the lyrics, but in blah blah blah, the end. She said, "It's like, no, don't do that. I would drive me crazy."
Yeah.
Like, I think it was about Russell Brand.
Oh, it might have been, yeah. Which I get, right? Because I don't know what she was thinking, marrying him. So that's unless she was just trying to mine it for content. But yeah, that was anybody could have told her at that time that was a bad move.
I forgot about Wide Awake. I haven't checked in on Katy Perry lately. Also, the other thing about payphone, like this is 2010s. Yeah, we're getting our cell phones, getting better cell phones, but we still had payphone, the song, and Telephone by Lady Gaga and Beyonce.
Yes.
Very popular.
Right, because that was about being in the club and leaving your phone, I guess, in your purse and going out on the dance floor.
Going on the dance floor, but they're just sipping that bub, and that's why I went with my telephone. I know a lot of the lyrics because my sister and I listened to it a lot.
Yeah, because that was another one that was on the radio all the time.
Yes, it was. Yeah, bub makes me a little annoyed. I know that Wolverine says bub. Yeah. I never really understood that term, bub.
Yeah, right. Because that was his thing. That was his thing, bub. And but in her case, right there, that's like short for champagne, I guess. But
it's for champagne bubbles or something. And it's like, I'm gonna reach my telephone. I'm like, I'm at Grand Central Station. You know the songs. I can't really. In my mind, it sounds better than me singing it. But
yeah, well, because that's the thing, right? If you're going to the clubs in New York, right? If you live in the suburbs, you got to take the train to. If you're coming from Connecticut, right, or from like upstate New York, right? You're taking, or I don't know if you count Westchester County as upstate New York. I guess that's but if you're coming from those places, whereas if you're coming from Jersey, right, that's taking you to Penn Station. That's not as cool.
Is she from Jersey, Lady Gaga? I'm not really sure.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know where she's from originally.
I'll look into that.
Yeah, because.
Go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, because I think she might be from Jersey. You say that like.
I don't know. If I look up her birthing area, it might make sense. New Jersey.
Yeah. So she went to New York University. So
that's pretty close.
Yeah. Let's see here. Where does it say birth?
Oh yeah, you got better.
Oh, she was actually born in Manhattan. She's from Manhattan. So for her, like, yeah, I guess yeah, she wouldn't need to worry about taking the train to Grand Central, right? Because but she might be yeah, she could be making fun of the bridge tunnel crowd. I guess maybe that's
We should probably talk about. I mean, I talk about Lady Gaga on telephones.
Right, we're kind of that our opening. What have you been watching lately? It can kind of go off in all kinds of different ways.
It sure
right?
Is, but that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of because it's like this is what podcasting is, a conversation.
Right.
That can go on all day.
Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, kind of as we transition here to Assassin.
Yes.
So we've been looking at these Bruce Willis films, and I think for our next episode that we've got coming up in March, we're going to take a break from Willis again. But I was looking at Bruce Willis here. This is the movie that's technically his last one, right? It's the last one that was released. Yeah. And came out 2023. He had two films in 2023. This one and the last Detective Night film that was also released in 2023. But in 2022, obviously, I mean, he had six, nine, 11 movies come out in 2022.
My goodness.
We have covered 8 of them. A ninth one, Vendetta, I did on a solo one. So the only two we haven't done are Fortress Sniper's Eye, which apparently you can't stream that one. I don't know what the deal is with that.
I picked up a copy. I have it somewhere.
So you could get that one on DVD, because I know that one and Fortress, those might be interesting ones for us to, if we could track down.
DVD for sure.
Yeah. And then Gasoline Alley, right? That's which isn't based off the comic strip.
I know, every day Hulu recommends Gasoline Alley.
Yeah, they just want us to watch Gasoline Alley. When I watched Assassin, when I was done with Assassin and the credits were rolling, they were like, actually, you know what it is? They've stopped with Gasoline Alley and now it's Savage Salvation. They're like, hey,
yes. One for Robert De Niro fans. Savage Salvation.
Yeah, they want me to get on that Savage Salvation, which is one we probably should cover somewhere too. Savage Salvation, like I think I've mentioned, I've seen that one at Target, in the small little DVD end cap that they have at the Target near us.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, so Walmart has more movies now than Best Buy.
Yeah. Because Walmart also has like that big like bin of like cheap ones, right? That you can like sift through. I think they still have that, don't they?
Oh, they still do that. I've been to Walmart a little while. Best Buy a little while either. But,
I went to Walmart in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I was visiting my family like a month ago now. I guess it's been a while. But yeah, I went in there. The funny thing about the Walmart was I hadn't been in a Walmart in a while anyway. But I was paying, and I'm used to using like the tap to pay with my phone. Because I have all my cards on my phone, and they didn't have that option. And when I was leaving my parents' house, when we were going to Walmart, I didn't have my wallet on me. I was like, well, let me go grab my wallet just in case. Luckily, I did, because I wouldn't have been able to pay for anything that I bought. I would have been sitting there with my.
Tricky about this digital technology we have today.
Yeah.
I try to stick to cash. I don't want to be a cashless society.
Yeah. The thing that makes cash good, the thing that I like about cash, is that
I fell right into that podcast trap, man. I just did it. You're telling me about cash. I said, yeah.
No,
that's what podcasts do. It's like, oh yeah, yeah. I fell right into that.
I know. I do that too. I'll listen back to the episodes that I do, and I'll hear myself going, yeah. And it's like, well, somebody's talking.
Say, yeah, it's Keanu as John Wick. That's all he says in John Wick 4. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but
please go ahead. Cash.
Well, no, like I think the thing with cash is like you know how much you have, and it's easier to keep to a budget. Like, but the thing I don't like about cash, the thing that I like about using the debit card, is that with cash, it's like let's say something costs like $6.35. Well, that 65 cents, what am I going to do with that, right? Whereas like on the card, I don't have, the 65 cents is just going to be included with the rest of my money. And you have that point where you have to go to the grocery store with all the change and like, cash it all in, like throw it all in the machine and get something back for it, and use it as credit towards the groceries, I guess. But that's the only thing with cash, right? Is that change is the part of cash that makes it a little bit difficult.
Every time I gotta go somewhere, I bring cash. Usually there's like a tip jar. Like there's a place called Rain Bakes in Connecticut. Guys give them the money.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I try to go places. If I know I'm going to a place that has a tip and use the cash, I'll just give it to them. Oh yeah, right. Assassin.
Yeah, and I was gonna say real quickly, I think people actually they prefer the change tip to like adding the money on the screen, because they get it right away. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. We gotta go to Assassin.
But with Assassins, I want to do a quick synopsis, and then we'll kind of dig in on it. So the idea behind Assassins is that there's this technology that allows people to put their brain, or their consciousness into another human, and the government is using this as a way to kill baddies, right? So it's like if you can put your consciousness into somebody close to the baddie, they won't see it coming when you kill them. Well, then there's this other baddie played by Dominic Purcell who has figured all this stuff out, and he has essentially grabbed, like there's like this little like thing called a spider. It's like this little like little electronic thing that it goes into like the brainstem or something, and if you pull that out, it's what stores the person's consciousness while they're in the other person. And Dominic Purcell has taken the consciousness of this guy Sebastian and his wife Alexa. Bruce Willis, who runs the program, he recruits the wife Alexa to go in and get that that little brain thing back, so that they can.
Adrian, right? That was Dominic. Adrian
Deloria. Yeah, Dominic Purcell is the baddie, was Adrian. Yeah. So she goes into the consciousness of this woman, Molly, who's like an artist that Dominic Purcell has a thing for. The problem is that she's inside so much that she can't tell what's real, but she also kind of likes being Molly more than being herself. And so it kind of creates all of this sort of like this tension and trauma. And we get to the end where she kind of has to confront Dominic Purcell. And she takes him out, and then it's a matter of like, what does she do with herself after when all is said and done? And there's a big plot twist with the husband, which will, we don't necessarily need to get into that, I don't think, because I don't think it's a big enough deal that I think people can watch the movie. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's kind of basically what we have there.
Well,
go ahead.
No, please, no, go ahead.
Well, because I was going to ask you what your thoughts were. So yeah.
Well, I'd say it was all right. I mean, like, I like the idea. I do like the idea, kind of like the Stell or Quantum Leap, Inception. Yeah. So you smush those all together, and then that's your movie. Or I don't know. It almost hooked me in, but then it fell off.
Yeah.
So I will say it's better than Detective Night.
Right. It's more inventive. It's more ambitious than Detective Night. But yeah, it felt like it was like, it could have been like a Terry Gilliam, like 12 Monkeys kind of thing. It could have been like an old Godard, like Alphaville kind of thing. And it felt like it wanted to go in that direction. But then it's like sometimes these stories just get so like
convoluted.
Yeah.
So for a movie like that, look at Inception, people still are confused by the ending to this day, right?
Yeah.
And just like, did he spin the dreidel, or was that dreidel?
Right.
It was a top. Actually, it was a dreidel.
Right.
Was it real? Was it not real? Nolan always does that. So yeah, I think for a movie like this, pretty ambitious. I mean, like, I would watch it for free though.
Yes.
Because it was hard to write notes because it was getting a little wacky. Let's see what I have here. It's not much.
Well, I think the thing about a movie like this is that the writers, they feel like they have to have plot twists and all of these kinds of things. And I think just the fact that this woman Alexa, our hero, is entering the consciousness of somebody else, sometimes that's enough. And then also, the idea of like, so one of the things I kind of thought was cool about the movie was that and of all the things I think that was cool, but to go into somebody else's consciousness, for whatever reason, you have to go in a bathtub full of ice. And the bathtub they used was like this kind of old white kind of thing.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. And like the set for it and like the technology like that they were using kind of looked like kind of old fashioned, kind of, in some cases it was like older, like there's like this big like circle kind of disc thing that was like propped up on a thing, but like and like where they were doing it all was like some kind of like old like rustic kind of house thing out in the country. And all of that stuff looked really cool in the sense that, like, the way it was shot and everything. And they could have done more of that kind of thing and less of like the whole, like, like there's enough intrigue just from the fact that like she's got to kill this Dominic Purcell baddie character, that they didn't need all the plot twists and all the other stuff there. Like, when you think about these movies done well, like whether it's 12 Monkeys or the Alphaville from Godard, or those kinds of movies, they don't go so in the weeds necessarily.
It's like you almost have to nowadays. No, a straightforward kind of like consciousness Inception, Alphaville, that would have been fine.
Yeah.
They look like they did a good job on the Willis padding, as you said.
Yes.
We want to talk about what a Willis is.
Yeah, so I mean, we get a good amount of, like, they sprinkle Willis throughout the film really well, and the ways that they use the double I thought were really good too, where it's like, Willis, I mean, you have one scene where Willis is talking to Alexa and he's like, okay, let's get in the car, and when they go to get in the car, it's definitely the double from behind. But it's like, it's so seamless the way that they pull it all together. I mean, the editing is good in that respect as well, I think. And so this was for anybody out there who's trying to make a movie like this with an actor in a similar situation to Willis. I think this movie definitely does a better job than some of those Emmett Furlow Oasis ones that we've covered before this.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Look at, or even Detective Night,
Yeah.
where like, I know it's not you, Bruce. I know your issue, but I know it's not you.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I mean, what was there? There was one where was it Lachlan Monroe or somebody was like walking past like a glass like window of like an office, and it was supposed to be Willis sitting at the office, and it was just it was so not him. I mean, I almost wonder too if Dominic Purcell was ever doubling Bruce Willis in this, like because he's a big bald guy too.
Yeah, it'd be amazing from the back. Like, all right, I'll double Bruce Willis, but I gotta be in the movie too. I think Dominic Purcell is okay. I would watch something in a minute.
Yeah. He's good enough as a bad guy, and I think the character the character of Electa is played by Nomzambo Mombatha. She was good enough in the lead, I thought, as well. I liked her, and I liked the use of
saying this, I agree. Everything's all pretty decent overall. Maybe that's why it's hard to write notes, because it was like this actually somewhat invested, but yet just a little too heavy in the cliches, and then you fell off just a little bit. But I have to say it wasn't bad. I'll watch it on Hulu for free.
Yeah, I mean, so the director Jesse Atlas, if you look at his bio on IMDb,
cool name.
Great name. It says Jesse Atlas is a writer director that crafts high concept, character driven thrillers. So high concept, I think for me, it tells me that he was going for something bigger. But high concept, I think, doesn't have to be tons of plot twists and all this stuff. That high concept can be, really well shot scenes, and it can be the more based on sort of like the fact that like the main character, her brain is having trouble adjusting to all of this weirdness of going into other people's consciousness.
I mean, it was done fairly well for this kind of, if Emmett Furlow made this, it would just be, it wouldn't be as good, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, so, I don't think Emmett Furlow. I don't think they would have let Jesse Atlas make this movie. They would have been like, no, this is, no, let's just get. We need a young guy to do the heavy lifting for Bruce Willis. I don't think they would have. They may not have let them. Yeah, I don't think they would have let them do this movie. I think I think to that extent, I think this is, this is better. Of all the Willis films we've seen, this is probably the most earnest and like the most ambitious.
Yeah, and since what we did all those Detective Nights, and then Wrong Place. I want to call it Wrong Turn, but that's the movie.
No, Wrong Place, right? That was the one with Ashley Greene.
Ashley Greene and Texas Battle Padding.
Texas Battle Padding, and massive ending padding. Like this one had a little bit of ending padding.
It did. I did notice that. I did catch that. Yeah.
Which again, I don't know that it needed ending padding. I think you could have just
a solid plot for the most part, and it wasn't that dumbed down. Which you could have dumbed it down, but you did, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this could have been more like, and I guess again, Jesse Atlas, he had his idea about what he wanted to do with this, but I think it could have been, if they pushed it more of an art house direction. I think in that kind of more, and I don't know if 12 Monkeys, if you consider it art house or not. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen it, but the thing I remember about 12 Monkeys is that like they didn't really get into the nuts and bolts, for example, of how time travel worked. It was just
no, they never did, and that's what Bruce Willis, and it's just like
right.
So that's an interesting movie. I've given it a bunch of chances. 12 Monkeys. I maybe give it one more chance, because it is a bit, on the plot is a bit. Well, whoa, what the heck's going on? And it's like, but at least it's still a good movie.
Yeah,
it's a quality movie. 12 Monkeys. Almost lucky to have it in a way. That's what we used to like. I'm trying to think. Like Pulp Fiction. Has a huge, massive success on that time frame. And people's like, all right, just make whatever you want nowadays. That was maybe one of them.
Yeah. Well, right, because Terry Gilliam, right? Because we take for granted that a Terry Gilliam, a Martin Scorsese, but actually, I should say, we'll go a level below Martin Scorsese with Terry Gilliam, right? Because he's kind of like a level, but a notch below.
Yeah, exactly.
We take for granted that him, or Jim Jarmusch might be another one you could put in the Terry Gilliam category, that they can just make movies, when the current ecosystem actually makes it harder for them, because in a way, if you're already established like a Terry Gilliam or Jim Jarmusch, there's like rich people out there that'll just be like, yeah, I just want to let you make your movie. But
make your movie, you don't have any notes,
Right. But the idea that because he made this movie and then he made Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas not long after
right.
Terry Gilliam, and I think you wouldn't get those. Those would be very limited release kind of things that would kind of be most.
That.
Yeah.
Look at to even go down a couple rungs as from Terry Gilliam would be Alex Cox.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like you got Repo Man, and then Walker, which is a really weird movie. Never seen that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then he made this weird thing. I'm trying to do it by memory. Oh my goodness, like Revenge Tragedy. Is that what it's called? Maybe you have.
Let's see. I've pulled him up here, so let's see what we have here.
Is that what it's called? It came out like 2004 or something.
Of course, they show him as an actor first, the director.
Right, because it's Monty Python.
Pays out for director. So yeah, I mean, let's see. We have Repo Chick that came out in 2009. I didn't know about that. But Revenge Tragedy, that was 2002.
Oh, that's what it was called? Wow, I can't just remembered that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I didn't look that up. I'm just using the phone for Skype right now, so I can't look up things too much.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I had a bad memory a few weeks ago, I guess I'm wrong remembering that one. I remember it being weird. It's like there's like a. Do you ever see it? Revenge Tragedy?
No, I hadn't even heard of it. I didn't realize like how kind of movies Alex Cox had done. Kind of post Repo Man. I mean, Sid and Nancy, of course, is the other big one that he had. Yeah, I mean, he did a music video for Iggy Pop and Debbie Harry, but yeah, like really interesting filmography that he has. And you're right, like would somebody like him, because this director here, I think
what else has he made? Jesse Atlas.
This is his first feature, I believe.
First feature. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. So I have a hunch that like that's the kind of like space that he wants to work in, is like an Alex Cox, Terry Gilliam, that
good. Yeah, we need those kind of people.
Yeah. So a lot of well, actually, I'm looking at his edit credits. Of course, it's funny with So a lot of shorts. He's done a lot of shorts. This is his first feature that he's done. So, well, he did a movie called At the Greenland. I don't know if that was it. But this is kind of his first kind of major one. So, and he doesn't have any in production credits, so I don't know what he's working on now. But yeah, you make a good point. Like I think he's the kind of person that would be in this sort of Alex Cox, Terry Gilliam space. I'm trying to think of somebody else that would be there.
Because if this came out before all this streaming stuff, I don't know. I mean, like, it would have to come out like 4, 5, 6 years after 12 Monkeys. Like, look, Bruce Willis is back in time travel again in the movie Assassin. So like,
I mean, I think this movie made in the late 90s, and shot on film, as opposed to digitally, where it has that kind of washed out digital look. I think if this movie was made in like 99, it would be a very different movie from what we're seeing here 25 years later.
What you have now is actually surprisingly decent, but I bet even back then it'd be even better.
Yeah.
Like, people love Inception. I think Inception's an excellent movie. I need to be watching it one more time, but
yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I mean, I think you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in a well-tailored suit, like in big action set pieces. You're going to be in good shape to begin with. So there wasn't,
he went to Men's Warehouse, right?
Exactly. That'd be the best if he was at Men's Warehouse. It's like,
well, that's the thing. I always I kind of laugh about Men's Warehouse because our Men's Warehouse is what Blockbuster used to be.
Oh, nice.
So when I went in there to get a suit for this wedding, I don't remember even wearing the suit, but all right.
Yeah.
Like that's where all the sections were.
right. Yeah.
It's like I know where I am.
That's a trip. I for me, I'm always like, I go to places like JCPenney and I'm just like, yeah, just it looks, this size looks good enough. I don't need to tailor it. It is funny. Like we live in this age of like suits where you don't, you really only need them for things like weddings, and funerals and stuff. Yeah, like even
if I went to a funeral a couple of years ago, and I don't want to wear a suit. So if you wear something nice though, you have to wear like a button-down shirt.
Right.
Nice tie. and a tie, or we could push the tie if you wear like a nice sweater.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's good. Everyone's all dressed up all the time. Also, I can't tie a tie to save my life, so
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll get a clip on,
Right.
But yeah, overall, what would you say about Assassin?
I think the way we've been covering it. Yeah, I think the way we've been discussing it, I think it's exactly kind of the Jesse Atlas saying he does high concept pieces. This is definitely an attempt at a high concept piece that I think is a little bit more ambitious, and I appreciate the ambition, but I think it could have done for being a little bit streamlined and not as twisty at the end.
Well, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And Bruce, at least, is not his for this movie to be his last movie. Okay, good.
Yeah, I agree there too. I think for this to be his last movie, I do appreciate the fact that it's not. I mean, again, that it's not. First off, that it's not Detective Night Independence. I think that's
thank goodness. That was just a disaster for him.
Yeah. But also, I think it's good that it's not one of these Emmett Furlow Oasis ones where he's just like a cop, but with a badge, and it's just like either
it's a badge hanging over his neck.
Right. It's just not another one of those movies. I think the fact that it is something where the director wanted to do something more, it doesn't seem like he's overly like I don't know what the word is.
He's very like kind of quiet in this one. It's like he's not doing a lot of stuff, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that helps his performance.
Yeah, I agree there. I think all of that stuff is really I think this obviously we're talking about we think that there are ways that this movie could have been better, but I think if this is going to be Bruce Willis's last movie, it could have been a lot worse than this. And I think that
exactly.
this is
it's fine. It's like I'm just happy it wasn't Detective Night. What's the one
exactly.
on the baseball field?
Independence. That's it. Yeah, and of course the other thing too with Detective at Independence, just as a side, the baseball field ending is that we already had the better chase that culminates in a baseball field with the foot chase in Night of the Wilding, with Eric Estrada and the kid, where just out of nowhere a car just flips over the.
I love that. That was a great stunt. Do I have a copy of that, or maybe I'll have to look at my file, but. Eric Estrada, remember that show? It was like a reality show, and Eric Estrada, I think it had LaToya Jackson, like Celebrity Cops, something like that.
Oh no, I don't remember that.
You remember this? It was like, and they get tased and stuff like that. Like
that would be amazing.
That you see Eric Estrada get tased.
Right.
Goes, oh no! It's like, sorry, Ponch. I'm sorry.
That would be the greatest thing ever, I think.
It's around somewhere. So it's probably on his IMDb as a self page.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Eric Estrada looks like right now. Maybe if he's in shape, because he can't go too overweight, because he'll say, "Hey, look, Ponch has a paunch." You got to be careful.
He's got to be at this point. I think he's close to 80 years old, isn't he?
Oh my, really? Oh, he can have a paunch now. Fine.
Right, because he's.
Remember,
well, because I think he was born in like the early 40s. So
wow.
Oh, he's born in 49 actually. So he's born in 49. So he's not 80 yet. So he's like in his 70s. So he's like mid 70s. Yeah.
Actually looks pretty good for his age.
Yeah. So he was younger on Chips than I thought. He was like in his late 20s when he started Chips, which for some reason I thought he was older.
I would watch Chips if it was around. I don't. I had a chance to buy Chips 99 a bunch of years ago. I was like, I should have bought that.
Yeah.
But I was trying to be like not classy, but like I don't want to buy Chips. I would buy it in 2 seconds today.
Well, if you want to watch it, it looks like Plex and Freevee have it.
Freevee or Amazon.
Yeah, so with Freevee, I mean, obviously you get the commercials. The thing I don't like about the commercials on Freevee, Plex is worse. Plex is like the worst for commercials. But the thing with Freevee is that they load awkwardly sometimes. And if you're watching on a TV, like if you've got like the Freevee app on your TV,
it's an issue for commercials. I agree with that because it's like, oh, here's your commercial.
Very they're abrupt. Yeah, Plex is the absolute worst though for commercials. Like when I watched Deadly Impact on Plex, and it was like every 15 minutes, 3 minutes of commercials. And
ouch, that's brutal.
Yeah. I would. Plex also, they do not have great transfers either. So I think if you're going to watch this, Freevee is probably the way to go.
Because the thing about Tubi is that it's been really well done lately with their ads.
Yeah. Yeah,
when I
they
watch
do much.
they actually time the ads to the commercial breaks back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty well done. So that's why it's easy to watch.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
well, and I also love too that they warn you that the commercial's coming, like it's coming in a few seconds.
Morning.
But they also, it's like, you generally only get like one or two commercials, and most of the time they're commercials for Fox shows. So it's like okay, I have no plans to watch, whatever the show about
What,
the
the floor?
family, right, or the floor, right, or what? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's like
Rob
I don't really
Lowe.
want to watch this, but it's easy to tune out because it's just like, okay, yeah, Rob Lowe's doing a game show. That's great.
Again, did he have a
yeah,
game show? He's obsessed. He has to stay working. He
yes, yeah,
cannot be at home. It's just
yeah,
like
right.
he's like Ted Danson almost. It's like, or even it's like they just can't. They have to keep working. They'll do anything.
Yeah, Ted Danson is amazing because it's like how many sitcoms has he done?
Because he's had,
It's
because you got Cheers, right? And you
right,
had Beck,
Becker, yeah,
and then he had another show. I think it was called Ink. Like, he had
hmm
like INK,
yeah,
and then of course he had The Good Place, which is a high quality program. I think. Did you
yeah,
ever
oh
watch?
yeah,
Um, then there was a new one. It was called Mr. Mayor. I never caught
right,
that. Was that
yeah.
funny?
And you also forget that in that period he also took over CSI.
That's right. That's right. So he can't stop working. I like Ted Danson. I think he's a good actor.
Yeah, and he
He
has
had
a
like
recurring
Char.
role as I was gonna say he has a recurring role as himself on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, he was great. Oh, I love that episode. I'm not sure what episode it was. Maybe it was called Larry or Ted's birthday, but Larry
Right,
says, "Happy birthday, Becker."
right, yes.
That was so. I don't know. Obviously, it's improv, but that was that
Yeah.
was, that was I always quote that now. Happy birthday, Becker.
Yeah.
I tried to watch Becker once, and it's like, nah, it's like the comedic version of House,
Yeah,
but
you're right.
House is already kind of funny as it is.
Yeah.
So, I
The,
don't know.
the
Just
thing I,
how it, go ahead, please.
Well, I was gonna say the thing I like about Becker because
Yeah.
one of the retro channels would show it on weekends sometimes, so we'd watch like maybe
Mm.
like 4 episodes in a row. And the thing I like is that it is very much like a product of the early 2000s, and so that's kind of a fascinating thing to see, like how it's like
Well, I like that too. It's like a time capsule kind of thing.
yeah, especially the character of the woman who like works at the office with them, who's like she's like a kind of a young like not quite Gen X. I guess it's like a Gen X or whatever, but like the outfits and stuff that she wears are like I know she ended up becoming famous because she was in the Saw movies. But when she was on Becker, like her outfits are just like
Was it Betsy Russell? Oh no, Shawnee Smith.
is that her name? I think so. Let me see. Yeah, I think you
Look
might be
at
right. Um, yeah, Shawnee Smith, exactly. Yeah, like her character wears these ridiculous outfits, and so that's it's fun. The other thing too is Alex Desert, who's on that show, who plays the blind guy that works at the. My wife actually knew him
Oh
from
really?
Tumblr.
That's awesome. That's amazing. He's been some stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, his big thing obviously is swingers, I think. But yeah, but I remember my wife had been, was chatting, because she was posting pictures, and she was, like, whatever, they were kind of following each other on Tumblr and stuff like that, and she was like, I think I saw you on Becker, and he was like, I was wondering if you're going to figure that out that I was on Becker.
That's
So
amazing. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, total trip. But yeah, it's. But I agree with you from a sitcom standpoint that it's like for Ted, like it's I think beyond the nostalgia piece, like you said, it's like um, the curmudgeony doctor thing can only get you so far.
Yeah, it had 129 episodes.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
just checked his IMDb page, and Rob Lowe, he's been in a lot of bad programming. Let's go back to Doctor Vegas for a minute.
right.
I think he was going to be on a different show. He's like, I'm going to do Doctor Vegas. Like, okay, so we loved Vegas. Remember, Las
Mhm.
Vegas. Josh Duhamel and James Caan.
Right, right.
Like
Was it Vanessa Marcel? Was that her name? The one
Vincent
who was
Marcel. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
If you ever watch it, only watch the first season. I watched every season.
Mhm.
But there's a great part where like Josh Duhamel's like rocking out to Big and Rich.
Oh,
I'm not
no,
sure what season
man.
it is. I think it's season 3.
Oh, man.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's so funny. And James Caan is like, he's so lazy, or he was so lazy in the later season. He was I don't want to be on the show.
Right.
So I never his indifference in the later seasons is hilarious. I mean, like Yeah. It's like you should watch it. It's like Burt Reynolds level.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out because
but first, it's actually high quality. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
But there's a part where James Caan like beats up a guy, and don't forget James Caan's old.
Right.
It's kind of really weirdly directed. It's like he's like lurching. It's really odd, but it made me laugh. It's the first scene. He like beats up some guy with a golf club.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you ever look up James Caan's quotes on IMDb?
No, I haven't.
And there's one guy. It's always like, well, no one asked me to be the romantic lead. They just say, "Hey, you punch that guy," which is great. I love that.
That's awesome.
I wish he was still around. Because he made some garbagey movie called Sicilian Vampire. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
I watched the trailer, and I wish we can get a hold of it because it's about some like Goomba guy. He's like some Goomba actor guy, and then he becomes a vampire. This is the movie. So he's like a Goomba gangster guy, and then he's a vampire. That's hilarious.
That sounds amazing. I'm looking him up here. I mean, the thing about James Caan is that like, for a lot of people, especially like boom, people who were born in like the 50s and 60s, it's like, or 40s, 50s, and 60s, like James Caan Santino in Godfather. That's like the sex symbol thing. Like that's like the kind of before you got to like John Travolta and Saturday Night Fever, but before like you had like Pacino and like Serpico and stuff like that. It was like Khan and Santino. That's like the one that like there's Sicilian Vampire. See that there? So I think he traded off that for his whole life. Like it's like in Vegas they were like hey we get James Caan in this so it looks like it's on a thing called Con TV Prime Video channels.
See that, but it's not about not CAAN. It's just
no. Right, exactly. CON. Yeah, no, yeah.
Can never skip that. I live near an older folks' home, so you always have to hear the ambulance. So sorry.
I live near a fire station, so that's why we get to.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's right. We heard that last time for your pod.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So
you usually hear one. You never get complete quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I want to apologize for that weird drumming sound for people listening.
Oh, for the last episode, yeah, no worries there. Yeah, no, I totally understand. These microphones we've got, if we could get McDonald's to sponsor us, I should just reach out to McDonald's and be like, hey, do you want to just give us like $60 an episode, like and then you like put the money towards microphones and things like that.
Yeah, we need the highest microphones, or they can finance our movie, food chain.
Right. Food chain. The thing is, like, I've been reading about how like McDonald's is trying to like change their image, like they've like better burgers and like they want to make the prices cheaper because they feel it's like
they've been getting hit with this inflation stuff. We get a Big Mac and fries. I hear it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, and I think the thing is like if they could just use like this kind of Seagal action movie underground advertising thing, I think that would do a huge amount to like boost their.
Wait, why didn't you just? I mean, they financed Mac and Me. Let's make another movie now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, maybe we just got to reach out to them and just be like, hey, listen, McDonald's, have you ever thought about doing this? Like
Mac and Me too.
Right.
The Mac is back, so it's like, and obviously Big Mac.
Yeah, exactly.
I meant something else about James Caan, I forgot, but. Oh, Con TV. That would be great if he had his own TV channel.
Yeah. Well, so I didn't even realize I was subscribed to Con TV like for news because I got an email in my spam folder that they're changing their name from Con TV to like midnight something. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what it costs to subscribe to them on Prime. But that's
I wouldn't call something Con because that's what a certain person that I do an impression of says about Comcast.
Right, exactly.
I call it Comcast. I don't do Con TV. This is Comcast. Okay.
Right.
Alvin Bragg. Haven't seen them lately. Oh, did you see that Stormy Daniels has like a new documentary coming out?
No, I didn't, but that could be interesting.
It's going to be on Peacock. It's like, are you kidding me? On Peacock? I won't slow the name down because come on. But it's like,
right. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
That's too. Right, as the kids say, that's too on the nose.
It's too on the nose. It's like,
yeah.
I thought it was like a onion thing or something. Like, no, it's real. I watched the teaser. Oh, great! I'm not putting those two words together. But it's like, so, and it's like, here we go. I'm telling my truth. It's like, I know it's probably embarrassing, Stormy. Stormy will be popping up again later in this episode.
Right.
But I get it. If I was Stormy, I was like, oh, okay, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Maybe I am the fair of Donald Trump.
Right.
Yeah. But let's not. And also you know what I mean? It's like, why keep prolonging that?
Well, because you never know with that, like why, like what would prompt them to have something come out now or later. I mean, it's possible that originally she wanted something to come out and maybe she was. I mean, I know there was the whole thing with her attorney, that Avenatti guy, where he ended up just being
in jail now. I'm like, whoops.
Right, exactly. So that there's probably stuff going on with that too. But it is one of those things, like,
yeah.
I was gonna say, like, those delays, right? Like, it's like one of those things where it's like, those delays, it's like those months turn into years, and it's like, oh, we're gonna try to do something now, and it's like, well, it's now the right time. It's like, yeah, you never know what causes that, but then it's like, okay, well, we put all this work into it, and we get it out there or something.
Well, what's the line people say? Justice delayed is justice denied. Just
right, exactly.
That's what Stormy should say in the preview.
That should be her. That should be her tagline. That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be great? I mean, like,
yeah.
But well, anything else you want to say about Assassin before we jump to?
No, I was going to say, I think we might. So I think with Assassins, like you said, I think your take on it, that it's good as a free watch on Hulu.
Oh, for sure.
If it's included in your Hulu, it is, like, again, it's a little, it's ambitious and it's earnest, and I think for that to be Bruce Willis's last film, that the filmmakers put out an earnest, ambitious attempt, I think is the best that it's a good end for Willis's career if this is his last movie. So I think maybe that's the place to leave it. What do you think?
Oh, can't agree more. I began it right there about the assassin, not the assassin.
Right, yeah, but exactly. Well, yeah. So then what we'll do here is we'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll start talking about The System.
We'll be right back.
It's the early 90s in LA. The war on drugs is raging, and Detective John Bainbridge is the LAPD's secret weapon against crime. Former Special Forces in Nam, he's a cop on the edge. When he and his partner Geary uncover a potential human trafficking ring, it doesn't take long before John Bainbridge realizes this thing goes all the way to the top, which doesn't scare him. That just means they'll fall that much harder when he takes them down. Part send-up and part love letter to early 90s action films, Bainbridge will take you back to the golden days of Canon, PM Entertainment, and AIP. You can get it in paperback or on Kindle and Kindle Unlimited from Amazon. Follow the link in the podcast description. My newest novel, Don's House in the Mountains, is available now. It follows Don Veazey, who after 20 years has finally made it as a writer, going from an AP English teacher to richer and more famous than he ever could have imagined. In the process, his wife Lois, feeling alienated and resentful of her husband's success, has filed for divorce, forcing Don to move to a house in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. With time alone to reflect, he's able to see how his new wealth and fame has affected his life in ways he never expected. Maybe the biggest of these is his new house, which is bigger and nicer than anything he's ever had in his entire life, but the longer he lives there, the more he gets the sense that it might have magical powers. But that can't be right. A house can't have magical powers, can it? Pick up Don's House in the Mountains today. You can find it at Amazon in paperback and in Kindle. All right, we are back, and we're going to start talking here about the system. So the system,
I can't wait.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. So the movie came out 2023. It is or 2022 actually. It's on Hulu. It's directed by Dallas Jackson, who written and directed by Dallas Jackson, who he did for people that what he'd be familiar with. I think people in the audience would know with Welcome to Sudden Death, the Michael Jai White.
I never checked that out.
Yeah, it's the thing with that movie. The problem with that movie versus this movie has a very clear identity and a very clear place that it wants to go. Welcome to Sudden Death couldn't tell if it wanted to be a kids like Disney kind of movie or if it wanted to be a straight ahead like hardcore actioner. So it's like, security guards are getting wiped out, just getting, bumped off and killed. But then you've got like this kids. It didn't know what it wanted to do. And it also had this comedian Gary. I can't think of his name, Gary Owen, and he's like the annoying janitor comic relief character, which this movie has no annoying comic relief character.
No, it does not. No, it has an amazing character, which we'll get to very shortly.
Exactly. So yeah, why don't I give a quick synopsis here? Yeah, so we've got Tyrese Gibson, who, me, of course, in college, big fan of his R&B music, but also he's really known, right, for the Fast and Furious films. And he's a former Marine, former Special Forces guy who, his daughter has a rare condition. He needs money.
Well, his name is Terry Savage, by the way.
That's right, Terry Savage, which is a great
awesome
name. Yeah,
I get that name out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, Terry is fantastic. And he is very savage. He is attacking drug operations, stealing the money to pay for it. He gets arrested. When he's arrested, the commissioner, the police commissioner, played by a guy named Rick Wrights, he gives him a proposition. I'll clear your record if you go undercover into this prison, this private corporation prison run by warden Jeremy Piven, and kind of figure out what's going on in there. If you do that, I'll get me some evidence that there's some crimes happening in there. I can clear your record. So he goes in and he discovers that Piven is running an underground fight ring in an area called the Dungeon.
Yes.
And he's just completely he's got like a mustache, and he's a Southern accent.
Oh my goodness, Piven is fantastic. Well, I can go into bigger detail.
Oh, he is he's and so
let's jump right into it. He's fantastic.
He's amazing in this part, and he gets he decides that that Terry Savage, Tyrese Gibson, his background makes him a prime candidate to fight in this underground dungeon thing. So he pairs him with Terrence Howard, who just happens to be a martial arts expert. So the Terrence Howard, and we're talking about
Terrence Howard,
right. This is legit, Empire, right? It was a big TV show. First Iron Man.
You got, of course, Hustle and Flow.
Hustle and Flow. Yeah. That's this Terrence Howard is in this movie showing as like the guru showing Tyrese how to fight. And he starts to uncover, some shady stuff.
Too.
Right. Bone. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was given a phone by, or his character's name is Bones. That's right. Yeah, his character's name is Bones. But as Bones, he's just this prison's as bad as it gets. Like I would say this movie's pretty intense in terms of the way it handles prison. Being in prison, like it doesn't pull any punches. We also have Maurice Crump, who plays Freeway. He's like kind of the big fighter in the prison that also kind of runs a lot of the illicit activity in the prison for Piven. And then Lil Yachty plays a character named Joker. Right. He's like the MC character, which
yes, we get those all the time. Look at the character. I think it's Dante Tabasco sauce, I like to call him, and Blood and Bone.
Blood Bone, right?
Hey, my man, Bone.
Yeah. God, I remember when he would announce the fights, he'd get like this like grimace, like snarl on his face, and he'd be like, "Knuckle up," and it was like, how am I supposed to take that seriously?
I'll give him a break. Yes.
Right, exactly. But and we also, there's an attorney who kind of understands that there's bad stuff going on in the prison. She's offering to help Gibson, and she ends up kind of being his lifeline when things start to go really bad in there. So I say, like, let's jump in. Ty, what did you think of the system?
I love this movie. This is one of the best ones we've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because Jeremy Piven's amazing in it. I mean, all my notes are just Piven.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is amazing.
It's amazing. I can't even speak. He's amazing in this.
Yeah, it's so we'll quickly say, obviously, with Piven, there's the allegations out there, the sexual assault allegations. If you go on Wikipedia, it addresses them very.
Oh, it does on Wikipedia.
Yeah, it has them kind of line by line, and so for sure. I mean, he has vehemently denied that he did any of this stuff. And so that's kind of where that's at. But I think what that means is that I don't know to what extent he's like persona non grata when it comes to
because he's back on he's on the skid, obviously, doing this movie,
right?
Because it's like, didn't he make bigger, Entourage, big show, Two for the Money, other things. It's like, oh, you're in the system movie, you're on straight to video land now, you have to move back up like Mel Gibson.
I mean, it's like he's making a movie with someone named Shira Piven, which I don't know if that's a sibling,
wife.
Yeah, I think it might be his. Might be I don't know how she's she could be a sibling or a let's see. Oh no, she's married to Adam McKay actually, so it's not his. But older sister of Jeremy Piven, so that might be part of it too. Like these allegations that and so for us, yeah, I think it's I think we kind of make the point about it, but I think he's going to be in more of these movies. But what that mean? Oh, go
what's
ahead.
That mean? Go ahead. No, yeah. What's that mean? What?
Well, I was going to say what that means is it's like kind of with Mel Gibson, where we get somebody who's like a higher level talent. But I mean, Terrence Howard, I don't know that Terrence Howard has anything going on in his background.
He's a lot. I mean, I think he's burned some bridges because of Iron Man. And then he's like, okay, you can work, but you have to be in these crowdos.
Yeah, right. And I mean, he actually did another one with Piven called The Walk that came out in the same year as this.
I gotta check that out now. It's that.
Yeah,
and Piven is back, man. I mean, like, which is funny to me because remember, I think we talked about this before, but there's a show called Wisdom of the Crowd. It was a TV show on CBS where he's like a tech billionaire, Piven.
Oh, right. Yes.
And he uses like a special app to find criminals.
Right. Right.
And then it got canceled because of the Piven allegations.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like the Terrence Howard Iron Man thing, I remember reading about this, that actually it may not have been so much him as this guy, what's his name? Isaac Perlmutter? I can't remember. He's like the CEO of. Yeah, he was like the CEO of let me see if I can look him up here. Or Perlmutter, yeah. So Isaac Perlmutter, he was the CEO of Marvel at the time. Stuff had come out about him later. Like, for example, he was when that Sony email hack thing that was done by. Yeah, right. He was in there, it's like saying how like, well, Elektra proved that you can't have female-led action movies. Which that wasn't true. Of course, Elektra was bad because Elektra was bad, not because
he's blaming Elektra. How long was? Oh, well, that wasn't very good. I did watch that last year.
Right, but it's like Jennifer Garner was good, and it's just the movie was bad, and but I think there was also some kind of also some racial things as well, like and I think one of the things was like I think Kevin Feige after the fact had blamed Perlmutter for what happened with Terrence Howard, that it wasn't that it wasn't Terrence Howard being difficult, but that rather that he asked for more money, and maybe he had a right to ask for more money, but it shouldn't have gone the way it went, I guess, is what they're where they just blew him out. Yeah.
Because Terrence Howard, he's actually pretty decent in this movie. You kind of care about his character. Right. I mean, I'll get to him in a second because I got to go all about Piven.
Yeah, well, let's get into Piven here because I mean, it's like it's almost like somebody said to Piven, hey, you're going to play this Southern warden character who is like running this crime thing in a prison. So just go ahead and have at it. And he's just well, I'm going to do a ridiculous accent. I'm going to walk around saying all kinds of ridiculous things, but yet at the same time, I'm going to kill people just to kill people. And
it's one of his best roles I've ever seen because everything he says is hilarious. Like, first off, he talks about McNuggets and having a McRib for no reason. Right.
Yeah,
and what's in your wallet? It's like,
what? Yeah, oh, that's right. What's in your wallet? So what's in your wallet? Like, yeah, I mean, the McNugget thing, I can't even remember. Like, because I don't think they have any quotes on here. Like, I don't think this movie.
I've been writing all the quotes. I gotta put all the quotes on their page because.
what was the one about the McNuggets? It was like something like he was comparing the prisoners to like McDonald's.
Like McDonald's, like, well, you got to get a McNugget sometimes, but sometimes you need to get a McRib. And then what's in your wallet? You can laugh about that, soldier.
Right. Yeah, that was the thing too, right? It's like Tyrese is playing this like brooding, like
he's angry a bit of guy. He's almost an anchor on it, but the anchor's freed up because of Piven.
Right. And it's like he's just sitting there like just angry and just not happy about the situation, and Piven's just like trying to be like all like like, yeah, why don't you have a seat there, son? And also he's like that was a joke, sir. You could laugh at that. That's all right.
Yeah, I got that McNugget, that McRib, and then what do you say? Oh, I should have put it in quotes. I can remember this. Where is it? Oh, nuts! It's something. I wrote it down. Oh, reach inside him, pull his soul out if he has one. Yes. We don't call it slavery. We call it free labor.
That was what because what happens is that when Tyrese beats Freeway and he gets kind of like moved up in the food chain, Piven decides he wants to show him more of the criminal operation. So it's
Yes,
not just the underground fighting, but he actually has prisoners that he's forcing to like, process weed, which it's legal weed, which I don't know, because it's in Mississippi, I think, is where this takes place. Which I don't.
Yeah, and then what he said was hilarious. Like, okay, Tupac, what he calls Tyrese Tupac.
He calls him Tupac, right? It's like,
it's so funny. It's like, yeah, we just, you know about that weed. We call it sticky icky. It's like,
right.
When I almost fall off my chair because he already said it was hilarious, but he said that.
And then he's like, well, you got to write your term paper. You need to be up all night. We got pills for that over here too. And it's like shows like criminals, and I mean, like the criminals that they have in the movie. Some of them are like legit, like they look like they would be scary people to be in prison with. Other times it's just like, hey, we got this overweight white guy with like gray hair. Let's put a white T-shirt on him and some orange pants and have him, stand around in this prison.
I don't forget about El Vampiro. Like he shaves his teeth down, look like vampire.
Right.
I can't stop doing the Piven accent now.
It is. I mean, it is like because the thing is like I don't know how long into the movie we go before we get him. I want to say it's like a half hour or so before.
Half hour plus to see Piven, yeah.
Yeah, but once we get him, once he's revealed that like, Piven is the guy running this. Yeah, I mean, when you think of wardens in Southern wardens in movies, I mean, obviously, someone like a Bo Hopkins comes up a lot, or obviously Charles Napier. We talk about him a lot. We've seen Dern on this podcast before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what Piven does with this thing here is just so absurd. It's like it's almost like if you were watching like one of those like road trip movies in the the late 90s, early 2000s, like kind of those romp movies where it's like, a group of kids are going on this kind of some trip or something and they get arrested. Piven would be the warden in the jail that they're stuck in for like 2 scenes, and then they get out or whatever.
And he moves the bars with his baton, like, you can't get out of here, boy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, he gets more space because his character's in this for a lot longer, and I mean, he just goes for it. I mean,
goodness, it's amazing. He goes 100%. He was fantastic. I'm not even kidding. He's like really fun to watch.
Yeah,
hilarious.
But the thing is, like, he's a really great baddie, but not in a way that makes you want to root for him against Tyrese, right? And I think that's one of the areas that Dallas Jackson, the guy who directed him,
like Jesse Atlas.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he does a really great job of making this prison a really horrible, dehumanizing place. And I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of basis for that. I mean, I know there's a prison. I can't remember the name of it. There's a prison in Mississippi that's like infamous, where criminal, or not criminal, but people
is that Joe Arpaio guy?
No, that's in Arizona. Yeah, so he's that's another bad one. But no, I can't remember. It's like called like Park Hill or something like that. But it's like people like they go in there. I mean, it's like rat infested, and people die there. Like they freeze to death. All kinds of things happen there. And so it's like I'm sure Dallas Jackson had a lot of material to pull from to make this prison as horrible as possible. So it's like there's no point where I'm not rooting for Tyrese to like bring this whole thing down. And I mean, there's that really great line, right, where he turns down Piven's offer to do the selling all the weed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, like Piven like beats up Terrence Howard as a way to be like, now are you on board? And he's like, okay, fine, So they go back to their cell, and Terrence Howard's like, so what? Yeah, right.
Now you're on board, boy.
Now you're on board, right? All right, that's good. Now I'm glad we came to an understanding or whatever.
Yeah, we came to an understanding. Yeah, I know you should do. That's fun. You have a funnier impression.
Yeah, but then they go back to their cell, and Terrence House is like, well, what do we do now? And Tyrese is like, we burn this motherfucker down. And it was like, oh yes, it was like a big fist pump thing,
I did go yes in one moment too. I said that too, and I don't want to. Should I give it away?
Yeah,
it's like.
No, I think we give it away. I think it's okay to give it away for people listening. Like
okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. I think spoilers aren't gonna hurt this movie.
No, because there's a big riot at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And then like Jeremy Piven gets away from it, which is insane. He like shoots and punches people, which is also amazing. Right. And then so Terrence Howard actually catches up to him and like beats him up. I went yes.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome. And I need to buy a copy like now, but I think on DVD. I want my friends to watch. The guy you met named Dave.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes, I want him to watch. I want like Brendan, Brett.
Everybody should watch this because like, so thinking about like the movies that we've had that have worked really well. I think the other one that we were recommending to everybody was Phoenix, right?
Yes, this has a Phoenix. I won't say it's Phoenix vibe, but there's some Phoenix-esque part to it.
This movie was made much more consistently and coherently than Phoenix. But the other thing too is like Phoenix, they were really leaning on Eva Marie Saint, who's new to acting.
Natalie Eva Marie.
No, Natalie Eva Marie. Well, I keep calling her Eva, and it's funny because Daniel Zarrilli posted something. Daniel Zarrilli posted something about Phoenix on his Instagram, and I saw that she had liked it, and I was like, oh, what's her Instagram about? So I was checking out her Instagram. So I actually went to her Instagram, and in her Instagram's her name, Natalie Eva Marie. It's her name. So I just saw her name yesterday, and I still got it wrong today. But like,
I get this movie. Oh, Eva Marie Saint too, because that's also kind of his name, Eva Marie Saint.
Right. Because I mean, what was it that she did, like on the waterfront and big movies. But this movie compared to that, this movie has legit actors. I mean, Tyrese, for example, he's probably like the least, like, of the three big stars in this, he's probably like the least accomplished as an actor, and he's still really good as an actor. So if he's like your third best actor in the film, right? And then you've got Terrence Howard, who's a fantastic actor, and Jeremy Piven, who's just putting in his fantastic performance.
I've never seen him this excited about it. And that's what's interesting about Piven kind of coming back, because I watched Vindicta, which is a movie. It's a horror movie on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I saw that listed. Yeah,
and you gotta wait, but Piven also pretty good in that too. It's not as crazy as The System, but there's a couple nice surprises, which I was taken aback by. Like, oh, okay, but it's 1 billion cliches.
Right. Like, yeah. Well, the other thing too.
Years later, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the other thing for people, if they see this on IMDb listed, Sean Astin is essentially playing George Wendt. It looks like on the face of the cover.
Yeah. He doesn't look so great.
Yeah, but yeah, Piven. I mean, because this is one of those things that happens now. Granted, in his case, I mean, it looks like, I think it seems like probably the evidence around what what he was accused of doing, I think is pretty. I'd say it seems like it's pretty substantial, and maybe it's just not full airtight proof, but it seems pretty substantial, and I think that probably means it's either going to be a situation of either this blows over, which I don't know how it blows over, like, because it's one of those things, like if he was in like a Marvel movie, let's say, right? Let's say like they put him in Deadpool.
Oh, Terrence Howard got in trouble too?
No, Terrence Howard didn't. No, but let's say like Piven, if they put him in like Deadpool, like the whole trending topic would be about boycotting Deadpool, because of Piven. So he's going to be doing these kinds of movies, but like, I think the fact that he turned in the performance he did here in this performance, or the performance in this role, because you easily could be like, oh, you know what, I shouldn't even be in these kind of. I mean, and then Terrence Howard, same thing. I mean, again, in Terrence Howard's case, it's not like he did anything to, in his case, I mean, other than maybe getting a reputation for being difficult, if that's what. Because I don't even know if that happened, because he did Empire, and that was a huge show for 5 years.
That was a huge show, and the first season actually is highly entertaining. The first, and then I jumped ship after season 2 because it's like, this is not going well. But the first season, high quality.
Yeah.
Even Terrence Howard, he could have phoned this in, which he almost did.
Yeah.
In this one, he was really close, but he didn't do it. It's like, okay, Piven's match. I need to match Piven. Right. No, not really, but.
Right. And I mean, even Tyrese, like, I mean, from Tyrese's standpoint, I mean, he's doing like, blockbuster movies that are like top 10, gross for those years that he's in them.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, Fast X, that was a top 10 film of the year. It's like, if you look at his IMDb bio, it's like in between Fast and Furious movies, he's doing these direct to video things, which I didn't realize. I didn't realize that that's what his career kind of was.
Go ahead.
Oh no, it's good. No, yeah. You say
it was a good idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's, and I think he brings a level of quality to this lead role that for whatever reason he's not getting. Because I think the thing that surprises me is that because he did this movie, he did Come Out Fighting, the Dolph film.
You watched that, right?
Yeah, and yeah, that's right. I think we did talk about that on here. Did we? I can't remember.
I don't
No,
remember. I don't think you
no.
watched it. I never got a chance to watch that yet.
That's right. Yeah. So no, we talked about we talked about Section 8 and
We
Sea
did, yeah.
Operation
Mickey
Seawolf.
Rourke, yeah.
Yeah,
Mickey Rourke.
right. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a mechanic. See ya.
Oh, it's funny. I'm saying this about Tyrese, but actually he did Morbius in between
Morbius. That's a movie with what's
Jared
his name?
Leto, which
I hear that's
didn't
not
do
good.
well at all. That one
Oh,
didn't do
Tyrese
well.
is in Morbius.
Yeah, and so yeah, he plays like a police detective or something, but agent or something. So that makes sense that he did get some roles, but if he's not getting as many as he probably should for someone who's it.
What,
Oh, go ahead.
Tyrese?
Yeah,
Because yeah, I think in this role, if he could stick to this kind of role, that's pretty good. Because he did a good job being kind of scowly.
yeah,
And then,
yeah.
but I remember there was a story about Tyrese in the in the trades,
Yeah, what was there? Oh, nice.
which was that's the hot lingo, right?
Mhm.
Which is he was mad at The Rock that he's making Hobbs and Shaw
Oh,
because he's not
yes.
like, you're taking money away from my family, man. It's like, well, it's just Hobbs and Shaw. You're not in it, which is sad. Sorry, but he got
Well,
really mad.
because you know what it was. What happened was that Vin Diesel said we're not going to make was it F9, right? I think that was the one that came out
Right.
after. He's like, we're not going to make it until after Hobbs and Shaw. So it put the whole thing on hold. So that's why Tyrese would say that, because he couldn't, they were making those movies, what, like uh was that like every year, every other year, I think, right? And then there's this big gap between F9 and F. So was Fast and Furious 8 was 2017, right? So it wasn't until 20. So they would have made one in 2019, but they made Hobbs and Shaw instead. And I think the studio from Universal's mindset, I think they would have liked to have made them almost like at the same time, where it's like
I
you
think that was
do.
odd,
Yeah,
but I mean, that's a good point.
yeah, but no, I think that's why Tyrese was mad about it. You're right, because that created a whole big rift, and it's
I
like
remember.
only now are they finally getting The Rock back for like the second part of Fast X. There's I don't know if there's 2 or 3 parts to Fast X.
What did you like Fast X?
It wasn't bad. I did kind of like it. I mean, kind of one of the yeah. I mean, I honestly I think watching it, I don't know if it needed if it needs 3 parts. And I honestly I don't know if I like these movies that have
Three
like
parts.
I think it's what it's supposed to have now is 3 parts. I think it's going to have
Oh my
a
goodness.
three, which yeah, for me, I think I don't even know if that it needed a 2 part. Like Fast X should be its own thing, and then Fast 11, or I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it looks like Fast X is coming out next year, so I think that's kind of the goal, is like to have
Oh,
these things
okay.
come. They want them to come out every other year, and then with
Yeah,
Hobbs and
should
Shaw, delayed that.
it's I'm gonna look at my other notes here. Oh, okay. So before we get, I do have what I actually from Piven, but before I do that, which is, unless you can guess what that is, um, let's briefly mention Maurice Crump, which
Yes,
he's going to come back shortly in our extra segment.
yes,
But
exactly.
he did a really good job. I thought he had dialogue with
Yeah.
Piven, and he was like, you cared about his character, and it's like, I thought he kind of stood out.
Yeah, I really I mean, great martial artist. Yeah,
Yeah,
great job
fantastic.
acting in this.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing too that I liked about this, which again, maybe it's a spoiler for people watching it, but usually with a character like that like once when Tyrese beats them, right, they're just coming back for revenge all the time.
Yes,
And
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
and what I liked here was that they didn't do that. Instead, they were like, no, he's been eliminated, and it's almost like this thing where like Tyrese's character could see how how Piven had completely discarded, Maurice Crump's freeway in favor
Yeah,
of
when they
him.
just, I like
Yeah,
that part. It helped me a lot because there had some nice twists there that I didn't
yeah,
expect. That was really good.
yeah, exactly. And he was also in Welcome to Sudden Death. I believe he has a good
Oh, he
fight
was.
scene with Michael Jai White.
Oh, nice. I see that now. They
Yeah,
said the movie was kind of.
right. That and even that fight scene itself could have been better, I think.
Oh,
So like yeah, I think it's a movie that you should watch just to say you've watched it.
okay.
Like Like I think you need to, from a completist standpoint, I think you probably should see it. But it was, I mean, and I mean it's not Michael Jai White's fault. And I think even from Dallas Jackson's standpoint, I think it's just it has no identity. It suffers from identity. Right. Again, it's like, do I want to be a kid's movie, or do I want to be a serious actioner? And I think if it had followed one direction or the other, like if it had fully followed the kids movie direction, we might not have even bothered with it. I might not have even watched it. Right. So I
what a like, weird, like kind of Frankenstein's monster kind of idea. Kids movie.
Right, exactly.
Odd.
Yeah, exactly. It had two writers. Dallas Jackson was one of the two writers. So it's possible that he was given the movie and said, hey, make this into something different. And that's what we ended up with. So.
But I was also thinking of another movie called Doing Hard Time. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
Stars Boris Kodjoe, who I think is the lower budget version of Shamar Moore from Crim Mind.
Excuse me. Yeah.
It was like, I remember when Doing Hard Time was coming out. Why can't I have to say this? 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, Doing Hard Time. I had to kind of sneak it on at the video store. It's like I just snuck it onto the order.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And because there's something called, I forget what it's called, Baker and Taylor or something. And you order a bunch of movies at a time, kind of like Life in Baghdad, right?
Yeah.
But
right.
It's a huge order of stuff. So I snuck on Doing Hard Time. Sometimes I got in trouble for that though. But it's like I snuck on what I got kind of in trouble for, which was Urban Menace.
Oh, nice! You snuck that one in.
And it's like, and a bunch of some James Belushi's too. It's like, I snuck on like 4 extra like stupid James Belushi movies. And it's like, I think it was One Way Out or something like that. It has him and Jason Bateman.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of, but Doing Hard Time it's kind of similar to the System, but System obviously way better. And I have a couple other notes. Crump. Maurice Crump had a good fight scene in the movie too, I thought.
Yes, beyond the one that he has with Tyrese, he has a separate one on his own that was really good.
Yeah, really well done.
Yeah.
And let's see what's over here. Okay, so also there's the System rap song.
Yes.
So you win some, you win some, and you lose some. The System. It's a straight Darwinism. Okay, I loved it. I mean, like, and then the last 2 things I'll mention, which is I have some more quotes in Piven, unless you can guess what the quote is.
No, I don't know if I can. I don't know. No, so
like, I got the whole damn ring, useless cake. And then, what in the name of Wakanda is this? Which is
okay, that one I forgot about that one. Right, that's when when the riot starts, right?
Yeah, I think it was that other his other prison warden friend gave him some other dude.
That's right.
Remember
that's
that?
right. That's right. Yes.
Like,
that's right. When the other guy shows up. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yes. Okay. Yes.
And it's like, and you got that mustache. You got the accent. I show you that picture. He's like evil. Also, Jeremy Piven or Warden Lucas.
Right.
He sits on a throne while he watches the fight.
That's right. I forgot to mention that. That's right. Right. He shows up in this dungeon area and he has a throne. They have like this big throne that he sits on. It's almost like it reminded me of Ben Franklin in Bloodsport 4, right? He sat on a throne, I think.
I love when he sat on a throne, and I love also in every punch fighting movie really. Yeah. It's where like there's an evil guy and he does like shadow boxing moves while he says, Tyrese, get up, fight him, get him. Like he's doing the punching too. It's like in his dungeon and on his throne.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
I love when people do that, but he really put it to another level. I mean, it's so funny. I love it. I just put in my last note. This was great. This is just a blast.
It is. I mean, it's on Hulu. It is an hour and 37 minutes, which it's not a long hour and 37. I think. Yeah. It moves pretty quickly, and I think Tyrese is, he scowls a lot. He doesn't have a lot of but he's someone you can root for as the hero, especially with how bad Piven is as the warden, but also even the guards are not nice. There's a lot of bad.
Everyone's are terrible. They're all terrible Tyrese, but you care about Bones and Tyrese.
Yeah.
Or Terry Savage, which is a really cool name.
Right, a great name for a character, Terry Savage. I mean, when you think of like all the great names of direct-to-video movies we've watched, I mean, it's very much an old like throwback to like the late '90s or like
That,
the early '90s kind of characters.
and that's what made the movie deliver even more.
Yeah, yeah,
And the nice twist. This is a huge hit. So
yeah. I mean, and we didn't even mention the fact that I mean, prison movies are hard to pull off properly, and
yeah, another great point. Yeah,
yeah,
there's usually they're kind of sloggy. This one
yeah.
transcends it. It's kind of like hard justice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you put it up. I would put it up there. So I've thinking of some of my favorite prison movies. I mean, Hard Justice is a great mention there.
Oh,
Blood Fist 3.
Death
Not
Warrant.
Yeah, Blood Fist 3. And why can't I think of the name?
Was it Death
Oh,
Warrant?
Avengement.
Oh, Avengement. Okay.
Yeah. This one is, I think, is up there with those for me. I think
Yes.
it, yeah. Prison movies really don't have any business being good. And I mean, the other thing too, I think about this movie that makes it better than a lot of like think of the movie Riot, right? Which has Dolph in it, and
Right.
the lead is played by this Matthew Rhys guy who we don't really know, doesn't bring as much to the table. The fact that they've got Tyrese, normally that role would not be played by a Tyrese. Tyrese would be playing like either the Terrence Howard role or something even smaller that just like get him in for a few scenes and get him on the cover.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that and Jeremy Piven to another extent, we're talking about how great he is as the warden. I think in another version of this movie, he would have been that commissioner character where he only has a small part. And
Yeah.
I think it's another reason why this movie works so well is that you've got three big names who have very substantial roles that the film can lean on.
Exactly. It's like a real kind of movie. I feel like if that came out, let's just say 1999 to 2004, it
Yeah,
would go to the theater.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like because Jerry Piven is hot off the success of Entourage, and he's
yeah.
usually somewhat likable. Oh yes, he acts like a jerk in Entourage. That's his character.
Right,
But
right, exactly.
yeah, and kind of like you add Ari Gold, that was his name, right? In
Yeah,
Entourage, you add a mustache and a southern accent, and
yeah.
turn it up to about 20. This is this is his
Yeah,
performance.
it's
It looks like
it's
Kevin Spacey also.
yeah, I mean, because you know what it is like you talk about him being a kind of a jerk on Entourage, but then like PCU, he plays kind of like your fun, sarcastic, jaded Gen Xer. And I think that's a big piece too, that like he merges the two, right? He merges the jerk character from Entourage with the jaded, snarky Gen Xer, because he has all these really great lines in the film. And then he just throws in his own dash of like Southern Warden from your classic Southern Warden character. That mixture of those three, I think if you
Yeah,
said somebody like Piven's going to do this in the movie, you'd want to see it to believe it. But it's that good.
I think we were when we were setting up this episode. I said I really hope he does this. He didn't say end of the line,
Right,
which I
right,
think I was hoping for, but I
right,
got more than that.
right.
So I got even better. I didn't even need end of the line. I got everything
Yeah,
else. So
yeah. No, well, that's
it's
the
what
thing,
I
right?
wanted.
Because that's the thing is that he is that your classic Southern Warden character, but he brings in this Gen X like I don't know what you call it, like Gen X like snarkiness to the
Well,
role.
yeah, when he said that sticky icky thing, it was like, okay, that must have been a Piven improv. I
Right,
hope it was.
right, exactly.
Because that
I
was
mean,
pretty good improv. Because that's pretty funny. It's just
yeah,
like it's very Piven, though. That's like it's such a
right,
Piven line. Just
yes.
like the what's in your wallet and the McRibs and stuff. Like that must have been Piven. It's just like I think he's
And,
still got it when he has some improv. It's like
And I think the other improv was like the things like when he would make a joke and Tyrese wouldn't say anything. I think that was
yeah,
improv when he was like, that's a joke. You can laugh at that, son. Like I
yeah,
think I think that was him too.
yeah.
Like just
He
like
had
he's waiting for a reaction from Tyrese. Tyrese, I mean, I almost wonder too, like how much of the stuff that he was saying was like him trying to get like Tyrese to laugh and break character.
and I would laugh. I think I wouldn't be able to bite my tongue. It's just
Mhm.
like, cause it's like this is so ridiculous, but there's something about it keeps you watching. It's a massive success, huge hit.
Yeah, I wonder if there is a DVD of this, if there's
There
outtakes,
is.
because
Oh, there
there's a
was a
DVD.
DVD of the movie. I'm not sure what I love to see Piven outtakes.
I mean, the outtakes on this, I bet there's some really great ones. I bet there's a lot of stuff of like, Piven just like going off and people just, like, I don't, because yeah, I don't know how I would be able to handle sitting in a room like. And again, we don't know how many of the scenes are actually like being shot. Like we don't know how many scenes Tyrese actually has with Jeremy Piven and how many scenes are just Piven behind the desk and they're shooting
they
at.
cut back and forth. It's
Yeah. But I mean, when they're walking together and Piven's about to show him his drug operation, I mean, that's where like all so many of those great lines are coming. Like, that's when he calls him Tupac, like that's,
yeah, it's
like,
I couldn't believe it. It's like every single thing that he said, Piven was
yeah,
amazing. I mean, every line, every word, and of course, one of the plot twists is like a certain commissioner might be evil.
right, exactly.
Like you did that too. It's like, okay, you didn't
Yeah,
even have to do that. I was loving it. It's like, of
right.
course,
Well,
Harvey the commissioner is evil. It's like,
yeah, and of course, like they kind of tease that might be the case because they give us that attorney character, and it's like, well, why are they giving us the attorney character? What are we going to need her for? And
it's
then it's
not.
like,
Yeah, I
oh,
think there's always that character in these kind of prison movies.
yeah,
Look at Cynthia Gibb and Death Warrant.
exactly. I
Or
mean,
even
the other thing
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the other thing about this is that they don't pull any punches on what prison is like. I mean, it's we in America we have this idea of prison where it's like, oh, just do a night in jail, it's no big deal, or those kinds of things. It's like, no, like being in jail, being in prison is like the worst possible thing that can happen. And they don't pull any punches on how bad it is, right? To get especially for these corporate prisons, and and so I think it adds a level to the film because it's not just like think of like what was the Seagal movie that he did with Gary Daniels where oh
Emerged.
yeah, I think it was, yeah, and it's just like a whole bunch of guys in like denim denim outfits just
And today
hanging
you
out,
tie it.
right.
He wears a denim outfit, and it's like you don't want to wear the prison garb.
Right, exactly. It's like, and they make it seem like it's like this really cool place to be.
It's
And
not
this
cool.
movie is like, it's not cool being in prison. This is,
That's
this is,
fair.
yeah. And I think that adds to it, or it makes it a little bit better as well.
Oh, that
That
exactly, it has some atmosphere to it, and then you got
yeah,
it's a massive success. So I
yeah.
can't recommend this movie enough. Watch it now. It's like
No, I agree. I think we definitely like Assassin. I think we would say like, hey, get it for
watch
free, and I
it.
think
I
it
watch that in the morning, by the way, too. Assassin. I watch it at like 8 a.m. It's okay enough, and then you're on your
yeah,
way.
yeah.
System, watch anytime.
This is the system is one that you should set aside time and say, I'm going to watch the, like this should be this is definitely something to consider for a Saturday night movie viewing with friends.
Oh,
It's
absolutely. I think it'd be a success just of course the pivots, the pivs.
yeah, it is it's a really good time. So yeah, I
Oh,
think we can
I
definitely
can't say anymore. I gave you all my notes. It's like
yeah. So
I
we
go ahead.
I was gonna say no. I was gonna say we both recommend this, and this might be it might be the best. I was gonna say most entertaining. I don't know if I think this might be more entertaining than Phoenix. I think I was trying to think like because
I think
Phoenix
it
is just
just beats it because of pivot.
yeah,
You know,
you're right. There's nobody doing what Piven. There's nobody doing what Terrence Howard is doing in this, let alone what Piven is doing, or let alone like they're not doing what Tyrese is doing in this, let alone what Piven is doing in Phoenix. So that's a probably another thing to consider.
so I hope people will watch this. It's on Hulu. I think it just hit Hulu, so people should
Yeah,
just buy Hulu a free trial and watch it if they're
yeah.
worth it.
Yeah, if you yeah, either with commercials or I have we have the non-commercial version of it, and it's yeah, it's definitely just pop it in and watch it if you've got a Hulu subscription, which most people in America, I think a lot of people in America do have Hulu, so
I said,
yeah, watch this, or the other thing too is you can rent it on Prime for like $4.
and it also, I guess you can buy a DVD, which is about $12 plus online.
Yeah,
But that's
so
fair.
and actually I said $4. It's only $3 to get on Prime, so you
Even
can rent
better.
this on Prime for $3. That it's worth the $3 rental as well.
Oh my god, you get your entertainment value. That's for $3. I
Yeah,
agree. But
yeah,
then I guess
exactly.
that's it for my notes on the system. Did you want to get to our last segment?
So let's do this new segment we've decided to come up with called Spotlight on a Fight.
Yeah,
And our spotlight on a fight this week, actually, it's interesting because we didn't plan this to have an overlap with Maurice Crump, who is in
yeah.
this film. But the fight that we're spotlighting, and you can actually get this fight on YouTube. Um, it's the wrong side of town fight between Dave Bautista and Maurice Crump. Comes towards the end of the movie, It is an absolute trip. I don't know if you want me to kind of give it
Please go ahead.
I'll give a quick breakdown. So essentially what's happening is it's the end of the movie. Rob Van Dam. So for people who haven't seen Wrong Side of Town, the basic idea is that Rob Van Dam is a former Navy SEAL who he gets on the wrong side of a criminal. And it's essentially kind of like a Warriors kind of thing where he's got to try to get out of the town. Stormy Daniels has a small part as Stormy.
Stormy. She plays Stormy. She has a couple of lines. She talks to them.
Yeah. We've got a small Ja Rule appearance in it. It's directed by David DeFalco, written and directed by David DeFalco, which for people who don't know, he did like some Richard Grieco movies. I think he produced Gangland, the movie that Art Camacho directed.
Yes, so he knows his movies.
He's definitely like a low budget guy. I mean, he's like a bodybuilder who wears like weird blue colored contacts and stuff. I mean, he's a trip. David DeFalco. If you see like if you've been doing this direct to video stuff for a while, you'll come across David DeFalco.
For sure, you'll come across some other travails of direct to video them.
Right, exactly. And so this fight happens towards the end when Van Damme is about to go in to raid this compound where his daughter has been kidnapped, and Maurice Crump shows up and he's like ready to fight, and Batista's like, I'll take care of him, you go save your daughter. And the dialogue is really weird because it's like, you okay, man, you got this, you go good, take care of your daughter, I got you. Then Maurice Crump's like, oh, you need a gun because he's training a gun on
do you really need this, he says.
Right. But he's like, no, I'll fight you without the gun, which makes sense because he's like 3 times the size of Maurice Crump. So if you're Batista, you're like, yeah, I'll fight this guy alone. So they're kind of, again, Rob Van Dam has run off, and then you've got Batista and Maurice Crump. Yeah, they're like squaring off. They're kind of like dancing around each other, getting ready to fight.
Yeah, squaring off. It's so funny. It's like, okay, here we go, and then boom, 7 days away, music pops on.
Yeah. You get that scream. You get like that rock from that time period scream where it's like, kind of thing.
Because it sounds cool. It sounds tough.
Yeah. And then they start fighting. And the fight kind of starts with Maurice Crump, who's very, we talked about him in the system, very accomplished martial artist, really hit electric stuff. And, he's kind of throwing some punches, doing some stuff like that. And then Batista's character, which I think is unique for a fight like this, he's like, why am I sparring with this guy? I'm like 3 times his size. Why don't I just tackle him? Which he does, which you almost never see. Like think about back with Matthias Hughes, right? When we used to see him as the big baddie and things, he would never just. I mean, sometimes we would get them in the bear hug, and you hear like the crunching of the back breaking, and then the hero would have to like headbutt him or something to get him to let go. But he tackles him and he starts raining down punches on him, which I think we've talked about this, that like if we were in that circumstance, we'd probably just, die, right? But Maurice Crump has the wherewithal to grab a knife out of his pocket, stab Batista. What was the sound that Batista made when he gets stabbed? It was like
it was like there's also 15 punches to Maurice Crump, so it takes him forever to get the knife.
Right. And I mean, these are Batista, like I don't know what Batista's fists are like probably like the size of like a grapefruit, right? Or some like massive like melon or something. I mean, like these are like Batista fists landing on you. Now, granted, his technique is not great. I mean, he's almost doing like kind of a wrestling punch technique where it's like you kind of just like slap. Yeah. But there's still Batista punches, and like you said, he takes like 15 of them before he gets the knife out and stabs him.
15 punches from Batista, and then but keep in mind that while this fight is going on, you have these lyrics in the background. It's
exactly right. Because the song.
It's like,
go ahead. Sorry,
but that's the beginning when they fight. It's like a John Matz. I was like, and then it sounds cool, but you listen to the lyrics. I drown myself in tears from the anger and agony, and then it's like, but I'll wait for the calling. I struggle with you, done with the crawling, and now I can see through your eyes. And then that yelling.
Yes, this is like all happening while this song is all happening while Bautista gets up after having been stabbed, and he pulls out a knife on his own, and he's holding the knife, and Maurice Crump's got a knife, and they're ready to start slashing at each other while that song is playing in the background. Yeah.
And what's great about the stab to that Maurice Crump gives to Bautista is that he's fine 2 seconds later, because that was like a really good stab. Like, it was like he really pushed it into his knee.
Right. But now he's up, and he's, because I guess when maybe with the quad, he's got like such big quads that he can take a good stab there. But now they're slashing at each other, right?
Yeah.
And as the slashing happens, they kind of get caught up in another clinch, and this is where one of the funniest things happens in the fight. Bautista bites his arm, which is
like a freaking vampire.
Right? It's like Bautista's 3 times the size of this guy. Like, he should be needing to resort to biting, right? It should be the bad guy that's biting him to get like an edge. But no, Bautista just takes this big bite, and then Maurice Crump somehow gets behind him, and I can't tell if he pulls off Bautista's belt or his own belt, but he pulls off a belt and starts strangling Bautista with the belt.
And let's not forget that Bautista has a do-rag on too, so it's like he's like choking with the belt, and then Maurice Crump runs away, right?
Right. It disappears, and that's the end of the fight. That's it. End scene.
Yeah.
Like Bautista turns around and the belt is like falling off of him, and Maurice Crump is gone.
Interesting part too. It's like, how's the belt like over his do-rag hat? But it's like, what? I guess no one ever done this before, where we really dig deep on this fight scene.
No. And the fact is that somebody thought enough to put it on YouTube, I think, is a really cool thing. And so, what we're looking at here with Bautista is this movie comes out in 2010, and he's kind of like he does House of the Rising Sun in 2011, which is kind of a similar one to this, right? It's another one that's made in.
I never got a chance to watch that.
Yeah, I think I reviewed it for the site. I mean, it's not David DeFalco, but Dominic Purcell, as we were talking about, and Amy Smart is in it.
Amy Smart, yeah.
Yeah, but it was another of these like kind of low budget direct to video. Actually, Craig Fairbrass is in. I didn't realize that. But Danny Trejo. I was gonna say it's. Yeah, I think you'd like it. I think it's I don't know if I'd say if like is the right word, but I think it's worth watching. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's like one that you should like kind of say you've seen, I guess, if that makes sense. Although it's funny here. Here's what I wrote my first line. I was like, "Whoa, what the hell was that? You're telling me you cast Dave Bautista as a glorified wannabe bad noir cop, the Bautista, and not just noir, but bad, boring one, with a predictable plot and absolutely no action or anything else." So apparently, like, this is like kind of neo-noirish with Bautista, so it may really be something that you need to, because like I'm saying I just don't get it. If you come to me and say write me a movie for Bautista, I'm thinking former special forces badass, owns a biker bar, buddy used to work with is a senator, and the senator's daughter is kidnapped by bikers. Now they call Bautista in out of retirement. He's kicking ass and taking names. So that's the movie I wanted this to be, and it was something else. So,
that's what that's what Snake Eater 3 is, basically.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so this is like he's kind of like, going around with these kinds of movies, right? He does Riddick in 2013, and then Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014. And that movie is kind of a runaway hit. And with it, Bautista's star just completely blows up.
That's true. I kind of wish he'd go back to this level.
Mm-hmm.
At least we have it. But I mean, like, I want him to go back down. It's like, this will never happen in our lifetime. But I would like to see Tom Cruise go straight to video. It's just like, I want to see, because what would happen? It's like, he will. It was so amazing.
He had that one movie, right? What was that one? The one he did with Robert Redford that didn't do that well in the
Lions for Lambs.
Right? Didn't that have like a very limited distribution?
Yeah, it did. We're so close. Actually, the movie is not good anyway. The idea is okay, you don't really care. That's true. That's as close as he's ever gotten. And, went to the theater, but it was really close.
Yeah, because you know what happens, right? If you look at it from a time standpoint, you look at his IMDb bio, Lions for Lambs, right? It's like he's on the cusp, and then he does Tropic Thunder, and everybody loved his performance in Tropic Thunder as the agent, and that kind of got him back. It's amazing how these actors they can be like so on the verge of DTV or not DTV.
Yeah.
And it's like one performance either way that like, like if Tropic Thunder, if his performance isn't such a huge hit, I think we might have seen a different, because then he has the Mission Impossible movie that was big, and all that other kind of stuff that got him back into things. But I mean, 'cause I think I remember reading about Lions and Lambs, and that it was like one of those things where it was like, oh, what's going on with Tom Cruise here? Is he kind of losing his so
I remember
so
that.
actually
He's losing his star a bit. It's like, oh, interesting. And he would make like some like bad action movie or something. It'd be called like or maybe like, I can't think of a title, maybe like former or the champion or something like that. And it's like, what's the champion? Like, well, the champion is like a former boxer, and he goes undercover to be something. It would be something stupid,
right?
Like, and that'd be Tom Cruise. The end of Tom Cruise, or his nadir, as they say, right?
Right.
But I want it now, because he's getting older now. Because I saw an interview of Tom. He's like, oh, he's getting older, but as we all do. But I think he. Go ahead, please.
I was going to say with the Lions for Lambs thing, actually, that movie did better worldwide. So it did like 15 million in the U.S., but so it did have a more wide release than we were thinking. So yeah, I mean, but it is like that's the period. That was it. Like that 07 was our best chance at it, and it went the other way on him.
Because I feel like other people have gone straight to video. I should probably go in a minute, but we got Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Got of course Robert De Niro. Got Al Pacino's gone straight to video. Whoa.
That's a good question. Because I know he was doing like TV movies, but I don't know.
Because I saw Sal Pacino in the movie called No Rules, starring Randy Couture.
That's right.
So Sal Pacino plays like this doctor guy. Not that much.
Yeah.
Also, Busy Bone. No, Lazy Bone. Lazy Bone also in it.
Yeah, one of the Bone Thugs. Yeah, like you don't ever know which one of those would be the one that would break out, right? Because like with Onyx, right? Sticky Fingers and Fredro Starr, they both seem to have good careers.
They're doing okay.
Yeah,
I don't think Fredro Starr, but I know that Sticky Fingers is doing okay.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about Sticky Fingers, I guess we might have to.
We're close. We're close to wrapping up here. So so I guess three things before we get into the plugs. One, the system. Check it out. That's just it might be one of the best that we've done. Two, Wrong Side of Town. You don't necessarily need to watch all the Wrong Side of Town, but if you go on YouTube, you could find the fight that Dave Bautista has with Maurice Crump. It's a fun time. It's fun that we're checking out. And then with the Assassin, I think based on what we've seen from Tom Cruise, I'm sorry, not Tom Cruise, Bruce Willis, it could have been a lot worse for his last movie. So Assassin is not the worst for it. It's not bad for it being his last movie.
I can't agree more on all your points there.
Yeah. So I guess we could plug it up here. Get in those plugs.
Yeah. We got Comeuppance Reviews, the podcast, and that's on all the podcatchers that we all love and enjoy. Let's see. Comeuppance.net is the website with what did we post? I already not a good plug, but I forgot what we posted. We posted a weird movie called Jekyll Island a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Don Mogavero. That's even worse than David DeFalco. We're going down the Don Mogavero road. Right. I mean, like, check that guy out. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I definitely did check it out because I was like curious about him. And
did you watch it? Did you watch Pressure Point?
No, I haven't watched anything yet from him, but I
Pressure Point.
Yeah. I was like, I've got to check that out.
Yeah, you could skip Jekyll Island, but you should definitely check out Pressure Point because it also has Larry Linville and I always forget the other guy. More the bigger name.
Yeah.
But this Don Mogavero guy is hilarious.
Was it Full Contact? Was that your last movie you did?
Oh, that was it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I completely walked all over Don Mocavero.
That's okay. You can walk over Mocavero. Most people probably do. It's like it's fine. No, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care about that. And then Ty Comeuppance on the Twitter X, and then Ty Action Rocks is the Instagram. I haven't posted something recently since maybe Vampires Out for Blood. I don't know what I post anymore. I posted something. I don't remember. That's terrible. Terrible plugs today.
No, I think the Don Mocavero thing is I didn't mean to walk all over this because I think the thing about Don Mocavero and is when we the movies that we watch from sort of like the 80s and 90s, there are just these characters, these people that are involved in these movies that you just come across them from time to time and you're like, what, how does, and I think you don't know what prompts them, like if they just had like some money lying around. Because I think the most famous situation is Tommy Wiseau, where he had all that money and he made The Room. But you get these, I think probably the most famous Don Mocavero would be like Jalal Marhi, right? Where he just
or I'm thinking of what's that? John DeHart, Champagne and Bullets.
Yes.
Road to Revenge.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
These guys, who are these people? They make their own movie, which you could do back then. You probably can't do now.
Right.
I don't think
because because it's interesting because I think you could make your own movie, but you couldn't have like the explosions and all the other stuff in it. Like you could make like a comedy or maybe a horror movie if you knew someone who could do the makeup, but you couldn't just be like, oh, I'm going to make action movies, and
no, because that's what's interesting about back in the day. It's like you can actually maybe like put up some money and it's like maybe you can make your own movie. Nowadays everything's just so expensive.
Yeah.
Like it's over. I mean, unless we have contacts to Emmett Furla for our for our ideas that we have. So what do we have? Spelling and grammar. Yeah, Tori spelling.
Yes, exactly.
That was a long time ago. I should think of. We have some new ones actually. No Subject coming soon in March.
Yes.
So
well, on your podcast, we'll be doing more No Subject episodes, and those are always. People should go back and check. I mean, what do we have? Like 8 so far?
Oh, I think are we at 10? Are we 9 or 10?
Yeah. People that aren't familiar, who should be familiar from listening to your podcast, but No Subject are Ty and I come up with ideas for just like TV shows, movies, anything like that, and then we present them to Brett, to Ty's brother Brett, and we present them and say, okay, what do you think of this idea? He doesn't know any of them.
No, I don't tell fans. So.
Yeah. And I don't know how it was like that we decided that to be No Subject. It was just kind of like, let's just come up with, but that's what it is. It's just us coming up with ideas about
wacky Luke Goss movie ideas, I think. Want to go back in time.
Yeah.
And you usually have like a kind of a semi-tangent about, well, this could be like a movie, or how about Jeremiah Pivington, as you said.
Right, yeah, so it's a bit for seriousness. Yeah.
And then you go into another movie. But I have to leave it. I want to get going in a minute.
Yeah.
But thanks again for having me on the show. Oh, you do your plugs.
Well, no, I'm mine are people check out the site at dtvconnoisseur.blogspot.com, and that's where you can find everything there. And and of course the podcast, if you're listening and you're not subscribed, you should be, because you'll know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a little plus sign. It takes a second.
Yeah. But what's great about it is like for example, with your podcast is I'm addicted to podcasts. I should say, I should put that out, that I always have to, I go through them quite a bit. So I'm always listening, but like my phone will let me know like, oh, hey, there's a new Comeuppance Reviews podcast. And it's like, great.
We just did one last week. It's Grab Bag of Gems 4.
Yeah.
It gets a little wacky.
Yeah.
I find the weirdest movies we have on the site. Yeah. And it's just a grab bag of ridiculousness. I think there's a fair amount of Trump in it. There's a fair amount of me.
Right. Yeah. Well, the other thing too, I'll say quickly, is that because I've been going through and updating the archive, on my site, because I finally got it back to a good place. So I'm like about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months away from having. Hopefully, by the time this episode posts, the archive will be completely back up to date. But as I've been going through it, you see like those big long lists of like movies that have certain titles in the name, and you guys do these really great episodes where you go through like all the movies that have certain words like all the American movies or all the white something
American
movies or Deadly or something.
Yeah. On Deadly List, I think we called that one.
Right. Yeah.
And then now it's gone to like, movies have the same title. It's like, for actually a fair amount of movies have the same title.
That's an amazing piece of it too, right? Is that all those kind of similarities. So people should definitely check out your podcast because those are definitely some of the kind of the fun topics that you guys cover.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. Well, once again, thanks for having me on the show. I look forward to the next one. Oh, the next one, Operation Black Ops.
Yeah.
With Tito Ortiz and Chris Cyborg, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Hollow Point, which you want to say who's in that?
Well, the only one I remember is Jay Moore.
Yes, so Jay Moore is like an evil drug dealer. Let's go into the trailer. So I can't. That's gonna be. I think those should be winners. I hope. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're gonna get anything like The System, but if we get something that's like at least decent enough, like Assassin, I think that might be enough. And
or
of course,
like Operation Seawolf or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Wait, do we like Hot Seat? Do we bewildered Kevin Dillon?
I think the thing that made that movie for us was was how great Mel Gibson was in it. I think that was like
that was surprising.
The one piece we were like, because it was another one that had a legitimate like a ludicrous. Oh, that also had Ava in it, right?
That was Ava. Yeah, so I love Ava.
Right, exactly. So
it
had things we could have appreciated it, I guess, is the best way to think of it.
You have it on your Letterboxd page about what movies
that's right. So people can go to this on the DTV Connoisseur Letterboxd. I have a list of all the movies that Ty and I have covered in these 2 movie episodes that we've been doing, which we've been doing them for a little over a year now. So you can go on there and see what episode it was that we covered, but also the movies. And if you want to check them out.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that list because I know, we've run into some duds, but Operation Seawolf, that was good. That was one of the biggest surprises. How good that was.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the Grillo cheese, a Dolph sub of Grillo cheese.
Right, exactly. The Dolphin Hotch unsub.
Dolphin Hotch unsub of Grillo cheese.
Yeah,
that's maybe the best title we ever have.
Right, exactly. And that one, so pretty much if you go to that Letterboxd list, it'll have everything before this episode. Sometimes I forget to do the most recent one until maybe a week or two later, but everything up to this episode will be covered on that list. So you can go check it out and be like, oh, what else have they covered? I mean, I think we most have been Bruce Willis movies, but there's plenty of other stuff in there.
Yeah, we've gone off Bruce Willis a little bit. We did those. We love giant drama, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do have to go in a minute. But thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, thanks again for coming on, and thank you everybody for listening. And we'll be back soon. Bye, everyone. Good.